Welcome, everybody, to the After Dark Show. I'm Don Rogers. Tonight, we're going to deep dive on one of my favorite things, the superhero movies of the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And you know what? I absolutely love doing these shows. I've done a couple of them now where we'll do like breakdowns of television or movies. We've done Rick and Morty. We've done one of my absolute favorite flicks, Donnie Darko. And of course, we did Deadpool. We decoded Deadpool. But tonight we're going to go over like the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. Well, most of it, some of it, whatever. The MCU progresses basically from like street level conflict to cosmic instability. And they introduce everything from like alternative dimensions, timeline manipulation, and shadow agencies, which I happen to know a little bit about. So these movies basically function as pop culture soft disclosure. They package esoteric concepts into mainstream entertainment so audiences become familiar with the ideas before reality catches up with them. So, with that being said, let's bust out the action figures, take the comics out of the Mylar packages, and get ready to pull back the curtain on Hollywood's soft disclosure and predictive programming. And for tonight, I have to thank my guest for the theme of tonight's show because it was his idea. Joining me for an unheard of seventh time over the last 3 years, he is the New York City Neo Shaman. He is the voice of the After Dark Show intro, and of course, the high frequency music group Sons of the Sun, which is the only band I personally know of in history that has over 100 versions of the same song. My brother from the interdimensional space mother, Mr. Fearless Frank fucking Castle. Get on here. Come on now.
Bong. Frank. What is up?
What is up?
I love your face, bro. Thank you for having me back.
It is a furry face, but it is a face.
Yeah, mine's furry too. It's all good. Yeah. So shout outs, Sons of the Sun music. Don was referring to Thumbfinger Fist, the project that put me in the corner when I opened my big mouth and said I could make a song out of anything. And I picked 3 words and was supposed to make 6 tracks. There's just different genre-rated versions of this 3-word music to get people dancing. And I wound it up with 110 versions of it. And it pretty much took up my whole summer. So it is out now. Check it out. Sons of the Sun's music and my podcast, Fearless with Frank Castle. I have taken a break and I'm about to start up again, but we can't talk about that now. Just good things are ahead. That's all I'm going to say. Shout outs to the Fearless family and everybody in the chat room. What's up, Lexi?
Hey, Lexi.
Know you're there.
Yeah. And this one we were talking about just before I did my worst Bruce Buffer impression there. This one kind of stung a little, and I'm going to throw it up.
Oh, shit.
Loss of a legend. As everybody knows, Peter Cullen, the voice of Optimus Prime, passed away yesterday. And this one hit some of us pretty deep, man. Like, the young lad did not take well. Like, that's the voice of his childhood, the voice of the heroes. And that's who we're talking about tonight is the superheroes. And Optimus Prime is one that I think we all grew up with. And I don't think I've had something sting with Transformers this much since like the OG movie when they actually killed Optimus Prime. Like
I was just thinking that. Yeah. I was like, it was the most emotional thing I went through. It was so traumatic. It was so traumatic that they had to change G.I. Joe the movie because Duke was supposed to die, and then they made them recut it and then not put it in the movies. And Duke survives in the end. He does the Conan to him. He takes the serpent and he makes it into a spear and he throws it at the main character and it hits him dead in the chest and blood goes everywhere. And I'm like, what's happening? Optimus Prime was the first guy. They were doing him back to back. And I'm like, what's happening in this world? And then he survives at the end, but Optimus didn't. They brought him back in the cartoon and whatever. It didn't matter. None of that mattered. The death was too intense.
I remember walking out of that theater.
They all are one, right?
Right. Like, oh my. Just, it was a generation that was just silenced as we walked out of the movie theater. It was like,
he turned gray, bro, and died.
Like,
wait, the movie just be 20 minutes in, bro.
Yeah. No, yeah, I was just blown away, and like it stung like that again. Like that was the voice of Optimus. Like that's who that was. But yeah,
it might be the greatest voice outside of Batman, right? The guy that does the Batman animated, he did it for years. I forgot his name right now. I'm drawing a blank, but because I'm strictly Marvel tonight. But his voice, Optimus Prime's voice, was so well known that it topped the charts of the most well-known characters in pop culture history out of the 80s. You hear it, you're like, oh, that's Optimus. Everybody knows that's him.
Yeah, it's unmistakable.
And you're ready to listen. You're like, bro, like what's going on? Like when you hear it. So it adds so much more than just being the voice of a character. And this influenced generations of people.
Yeah.
Right. I matured up real quick watching that shit. Oh, I didn't like Rodimus, the other characters, and I thought the guy that took so they run on Energon. So the thing with them, everything's disclosure, and we're going to spoil everything tonight. So just be gentle with your ears if you haven't seen these movies or whatever. I'm going full throttle with them. So they're alive just like us. They just run on Energon. And what's Energon? Energy. Where's energy come from? Source. What do you run on? Source energy. So we're just all running on energy, and there's just all different kinds. So on my shaman trips, I've met creatures that are like that, beings that are like that. They're autonomous. I don't know if they transform or not, but they move quickly, and they have all different shapes and sizes of things, but they're alive. They are highly alive, and you'd be like, whoa, like super AI? No, like super you in a metal suit, like just having that experience. You run on something different, but it's all the same. It's all the same modality, right? You could take a molecule and change it into just about anything at the atomic level, right? With alchemy. So we're all running on the same juice. Space juice, right? Source juice.
I agree, and I have to tell you, we're talking universal molecular craziness. The day before Peter Cullen passed, William was at the store with my interdimensional exit buddy. They were at Walmart. You know, sometimes you got to go to the bad places, so they were at Walmart, right? And William was going to buy this really dope Optimus Prime. It's like the Allspark one. It's like as close as you can get to that ethereal one. I can't remember the name. I kind of wish he was here, but he didn't want to hear the spoilers. But he got it up to the till, and it was like stupid expensive, and it would have went over his limit. So he's like, oh shit, okay, I'll just take this, and leaves it and walks out with his mom. They're halfway to the truck. Son, come here. This dude out of nowhere gives him the homie bro hug and hands him Optimus and says, you need this.
Yo, Don, I had something like that exact thing happen to me on my birthday the other day. So my buddy brought me a blind box, and he had just come back from Spain, and it was Godzilla, right? So it had like all this writing on it and stuff. It was just a bag, and in the bag was the little figurine, I guess, right? But we were all curious to what it was going to be. And I said, you know, it's funny. I always tell Paula about the karate guy that's in the metal suit, and he's small, and then he goes like, ha, da, 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 and he grows real big, right? So nobody can remember this guy's name. I open it, bam, it's him.
That's sick.
I forgot his name again, but his name was in the, I have the card with his name on it. I was like, I'm saving that. And everyone was like, oh, and my buddy who don't believe in anything, he went, an instant manifestation. And I was like,
you said it.
Yeah. I go, when have you used that word? You know nothing of it. He goes, you just did it. What are you talking about? And I go, I did, didn't I? He goes, that is such an odd, random fucking thing. I bought this for you in Spain. Yeah. I was like, what? And he's like, bro, I went for the eclipse.
That's crazy.
Dude, like, we connect in the weirdest ways, right? Like, is the cat in the box or not? Is it dead? Is it alive?
Ultraman.
That's what I thought. I thought it was Ultraman. Oh, Mike's here. Yeah, Mike, you're the best. But he has like another name, like his real, I guess it's his real name or whatever. But I remember him from when I was a kid. And yeah, he was like one of my favorites. I'm like, they got a guy that goes and grows, right? Like the Indian in Justice League.
Yeah.
Remember the old cartoon?
Yeah. Yeah.
He'd go electro and then and he'd grow. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And he was just walking around with a loincloth basically and a like a over the top. And I look at that now and I'm like, oh, that's the big Anunnaki guys. Yeah. See, I'm gonna connect everything tonight because the stories are all about us and what's in our DNA across the board. And this guy definitely left he resonated throughout generations and generations to come. He will be that guy, right?
Yeah, it's. I can't imagine anybody else doing it. Like it's that stuck in. He is Optimus Prime, and
So Chris Helmsworth does Optimus in the movie cartoons or not the animation, and he was good, but he was saying, "I'm not trying to be him. Don't expect me to be like the original guy. Like I can't. I won't even fucking try to do that. Give me a break." See, so this goes to show like how much. So I'm 52 now. So how much from people a little older than me, all the way to younger people, pop culture or comic books, we'll say, and cartoons, the movies about these characters really influence our lives and what it really means. You know, I watched Clash of the Titans as a kid, and I liked it. I was like, it's good. It's a good movie, the original one. And when I was little, it was a big deal. And there was some of the stuff in the movie I didn't understand, but I kind of just went with it because you're a kid. I'm kind of into it. I'm into Dungeons and Dragons, so I kind of get some of the concepts. And then I'm older, and I'm like, oh, you Anunnaki motherfuckers, right? And I'm like, oh, I get the whole thing 100%. I've been on the board. I've been under the board. I've talked to them directly. I've indirectly had to deal with things that they directly fucked with that ruined things in us and our people of the human existence, where they're now coming back like, oh, bro, I'm so sorry. Let me fix this for you. And I'm breaking it down simple and easy. But all of these characters are about us, what is in our DNA, the things that are around us, what's really happening. And as a disclosure, they have to tell you. So it's much easier to put the stories into like some fictional dramas, like with superheroes, and tell you and show you what's going on. And it's in everything. So, but we're gonna, because I'll run with this.
Yeah.
Right. Like I watched Gen V and with Homelander and all that, The Boys.
Yeah.
That's the dark side of what we're going to talk about tonight. That's them just doing like injecting people till they can do something crazy, and then it works, and they try to like amplify that. Bro, it's crazy. But Marvel, the Marvel universe, takes up a 50% or better market share of the comic books that would influence you as a young man if you were born anywhere from like 1955 or earlier, maybe a little bit earlier, like 52 all the way up to now. Throughout history, throughout time, they put the characters in our lore into the books. It's like Thor and Odin and all these characters, the in-betweener, the one above all, Null, the great nothing void, characters that are transformed in their DNA, bit by a radioactive spider, hit by gamma radiation. What are the reactions when this occurs with you? That's why Spider-Man could be any man. Anyone could be under the mask, because all it takes is this thing to influence you. And then it affects you like this. Gamma like this. Metal bonded to your skeleton like this. Being able to heal someone. Where have we heard that? right? Wolverine heals. Angel can heal others. He can like, okay, your wound is healed. And you heal mentally and physically. So if there's something wrong inside, he fixes it. Right? So who does that? An angel. Well, Jesus. Hold on. Activated DNA. So the X-Men, the X gene, the manifestation of the activation of the anomaly inside of you that allows you to become more than human. So the DNA turns on. Are you at level 3 or are you at level 12? You get beings that can control energy. Now, I do ayahuasca ceremonies, and I'll go under and they'll say to me, you know, who else is the master of magnetism? And I'll go, who, Mother Ayahuasca? And she'll go, you. And then I go through, you're the energy master. You're the antenna that pulls it in and is supposed to master it, both emotionally, physically, both with your heart and your mind and your gut becoming one coherent transformation. You would start sensing things that other people can't. Who does that? Well, we're still with Spider-Man. Spider-Man can do it when he's just enhanced. Well, what enhances him? Well, he gets bit by a spider and it activates the spider gene in him. Okay. Well, how would you circle that square? So you have everything in you.
Yep.
As a source being. You live on the living library, and they built the human flesh suit with the DNA of every creature in the entire universal structure and multiversal structure. So it can house source. So the spider bite activates the spider gene. The gamma activates whatever it hits in him that absorbs that, activates that gene in him and advances it to a point where you get Hulk. It goes way further than that with Hulk.
Yeah.
Secret space program. Taking out humans' consciousness, putting them into these giant man bodies, that of like a Hulk. Yeah, that's why I was bringing it up. So I know some of yours. So I'm like, okay. Then you go out and you're not afraid to fight a reptilian because you can tear one in half with your bare hands. You can just grab it and tear it and it will come apart. Okay, so when was the Hulk created? It was like maybe in the 50s, I think. I don't have like definition of when these characters were created, but we're gonna circle it right into more the universe, right? But they were testing things in the atomic weapon areas, and they decided they were dropping gamma bomb, and he gets hit with it. Boom, activates. He's the only one that survives because he's the only creator being there that has it in him. Right? It's meant for that to occur. You know, it works the other way too with gods and goddesses. So like children of Thor aren't as strong as Thor, no matter how awesome they might be, will never be as strong as daddy, but they'll be like a quarter less strong, but might have full control over the elements. So who has control over the elements? Elementals. Who talks to the elementals? We do. Who has control over energy? We do. Once again, the story goes back to the gene in us. What does he do? He smacks the stick and becomes Donald Blake. His father's like, live as a human and understand it. And he's weak and he's feeble. He's just a dude. This is how it was back in the day, Don. Do you remember when he had to do this? And then if he dropped the hammer for 60 seconds, he loses being Thor. He just transforms back to Blake. That was part of how they used to run it. So that was man becoming God, God becoming man. The great fall of the great God put into the human to then resurrect back out. X-Men, Jean Grey Phoenix, everyone's right. And what do we all do when we're having the ascension experience? I'm rising like the Phoenix. It is the ultimate power of you inside of you. It is the God bird, the one made of great fire that burns everything into creation. It's not meant to burn you and hurt you. It's meant to create. So you're using it to crack a moon in half because you're an angry little bitch, or create more food for everyone to eat. Put greenery on a planet somewhere. Choose to use it. And with Spider-Man and these characters always come with great power, Don, comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay. Why? You want to answer it, or you look? Why would great power come great responsibility? Because I can take your fucking arm and rip it off if I was stopping you, right? I can just punch you with a finger and it will go through your fucking head. So I have to balance this somehow, or I'm just a murderer who's distributing justice on behalf of my own weird ideologies, right? That's usually called the villain.
Yeah.
Right. The heroes want to be known from a higher standard. They want to use their gifts to help people. What is everything a creator being on this planet is having the awakening experience is the first thing they want to do is help someone.
Yeah.
So I want to tell everyone we're these amazing beings and we're activating. Just like in the Marvel universe, the activation is random. Can happen in different parts of the world. It's just whatever. And then those people are plucked to work together as a team to overcome something or another. We've seen this in Stranger Things. We see this in Ghostbusters, the Avengers, the X-Men, fucking G.I. Joe. Like, it's in everything. Oh, the best of the best come together. The ones that can do it, because you're not ready to just do it yet. And these are the people that are ready because they're ready to take on the responsibility. They want the duty of being the character that helps, that uses their ability to help, not to harm.
Yeah. And I just want to kind of package that in a thought that you and I have discussed before. And it goes into like how in Spider-Man and a lot of these, they're talking about how they've identity fractured, and, you know, there's Peter Parker and there's Spider-Man and the arachnid side, and Wolverine has this side of him, whatever. And especially in Deadpool, right? There's the underlying ability that's been fractured away, but usually it's some type of traumatic, like we saw it in Deadpool. They basically
hyper traumatic. It's not traumatic. Yeah. It's fucked up.
Yeah, like they pull it out through trauma. And I find that where I'm going with this, I find that's what's happening with a lot of people in the awakening community, especially myself. Like, I woke up because I couldn't stop seeing another reality that scared the shit out of me. And until I started to accept that I could see both, it was driving me crazy. Like, I was traumatized into understanding what the fuck was going on. And that's what happens in these movies too, is there's usually some traumatic trigger that puts them into the superhero mode. And I think that's what's happening to all of us that are awakening.
Absolutely. And I'm thinking Spider-Man, the death of a family member and how that changes you if you witness that. But it's also the death of the family member that doesn't understand that you're changing. So it's a metaphorical. In the movie, it's physical. In the comic, it's physical, but it's also metaphysical, where the other, you're not there anymore. You can't see me for what I truly am. And there's this weird thing that happens with that. You hide it. You know, they'll cut you open and they'll take you apart in some cases, and other cases you don't care. People fear you, though, because they watch the activations occur on people that are just becoming more of what they're meant to be. And in those activations in high school or in traumatic experiences, hold on. So just like your first bully shoves you to the floor, and then you put your hand up like, no, and then the bully goes flying and you didn't touch him, and you notice that you're floating. So that scares the shit out of people. But traumatic experience, trauma activates, dare I say, the X gene within people. And what have we been blasted with? Trauma. We are like trauma masters. As long as you don't play victim anymore, because it's cool if you did, but now that you know better, you don't. You're the hero. You don't even realize it yet. You're the activated superhuman, right? And it's only going to get crazier. So in spirituality, Don, what do they say? I'm going to connect this and drive it because we're going into the real multiverse of madness tonight. So you activate, and what happens in this world? So we can compare it to the Marvel universe. Ascension activation. They say that it opens you, and then you're able to do things. What kind of things?
I've had precognition. Well, I've had
precognition. That's amazing.
And what you reminded me of is like when I was like 5 years old, we moved to a new town. Now, this is a weird story. Okay. Moved to a new town, and my grandparents came over, which both drank heavily. So my parents and them go to this bar, but it's like one of those bars that you can eat in as well. So the kids were allowed in. Of course, in about 15 minutes, me and my sister are bored to shit. So we're outside. This bigger kid starts picking on my sister, she's like 2 years older than me. And I've always been like short as shit. Like I was 3 feet tall at the time. This kid starts picking on my sister. And Frank, I don't know where I went, but I did to him essentially what fucking Hulk did to Loki, except I was 5 and this kid was a lot bigger than me. I flogged the fuck out of him for about 10 minutes up and down the street, off the bar, off the stairs. And I'm a little kid, right? I walk into the bar, look at my mom. I'm like, Mom, my hands are bleeding. I'm just covered in blood. I go to school in a couple of weeks, and like all the teachers are like hella nice to me and really, hey, welcome, Don. Great. I've changed schools. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? They're like, oh, I find out about halfway through the day that kid I beat the shit out of 2 weeks ago was the school bully, and he hasn't said shit since.
That's what's up. Sometimes it takes a higher power to do it, bro.
Like I have no idea how it happened, because like this kid was twice my size, and you're touching my sister. I'm going to beat the shit out of you now.
Yeah, it's like you call in the strength to do it, and then it's like you just get more of your higher self in you, which gives you the ability to do it. My grandmother once pulled an axe out of my hand. Yeah. Dude, I had beef with my cousin for over $40, and he came to my house, and he was like a big steroided out Avenue guy, like, yo, bro, what's up, bro? You got my money, bro? That kind of guy. So I was working with him on his moving truck, and he owed me $40. I was driving down to the shore, so I was like, yo, you got that 40 you owe me? And he was like, nah, fuck you, right? And I'm like, come on, cuz, you're being he's my first cousin. So I'm like, yo, listen, I see you every day after work, at work, during work, when I get home. You live on the corner. Don't play me for $40. I kind of need it. I'm broke, bro. So he was like, all right, we'll see you later. So then he came to my house and he starts screaming at me through the window. And there was 8 people in my living room. We were all hanging out together. He comes running in. He starts throwing me around the room. So I said, that's it. I'm gonna cut you, kid. I'm done with you. And I got an axe. I came in, I cocked back, and my grandmother had one good arm. And the not good arm just couldn't get up high, but she can get it down low. Well, she grabbed it and just took it out of my hand. I was like stunned. Everyone there, my cousin went, no, Viola, like, oh, grandma. Everyone just broke into sections and left. She stopped the whole brawl that way. She goes, you were going to hit him with that. I go, he's like 5 times my size. And you let him right in. And she's like, we all live together technically. Like, we're all family. So it was just a weird moment where I was like, yo, you call it in at the moment you need it. And all of a sudden you get man strength, that we don't even realize exists, where a woman can lift a car off her kid. 5-year-old Don could beat up the bully. Frank gets the axe pulled out of his hand.
Like granny. Like,
it's crazy. I was gonna hit him with it, but I was gonna spin it. I was just gonna hit him with the back end, but because I didn't hate him. I was just fighting with him. He was just so big, bro. I was like, damn, kid. He's like, oh, we were gonna do that, huh? And I'm like, yeah, you want to do it again? And he was like, nah, we're cousins. Why would we fight like that? I'm like, yeah, I figured you wouldn't want to go with me again.
That pretty
Viola
much.
can't live outside the house.
Oh shit.
Oh, this is funny shit. So
yeah,
miraculous things happen. DNA activations cause reactions in the physical body that allow people to do things like astral travel. Like it starts really small at first. Telepathy, telekinesis, the stories of like Jesus and others like him, water to wine, so they're able to influence the molecules in something to change to a different thing, right? But we're in a this is how it was explained to me. You're in a hologram, a really intense one, right? So you're connecting to the holographic structure. The emptiness between you and anything else isn't empty. And there's really no distance from you to this thing right here or that thing right there. So what you wind up finding yourself is in a situation where it's almost like you're like a Neo character, right? But not everybody's abilities activate the same. Some do, right? Like when telepathy starts, it's random, but you can start talking to your partner and you picking up on things. Like it starts small. Animals, having the ability to talk to animals and plants, that's a big one, right? So you can influence them to grow better. That's how it starts at first. You sing to your plants and they grow big and beautiful, right? And you feel like they need you. They require this. It's like medicine to them, but they are medicine for me, right? Okay. So all of these things play out in Marvel. All of this stuff plays out. The activation. So somebody, I think in the chat, was saying it's not going to be quite like them. You're right. Like, I don't think you'll be like Iceman flying around on an ice slide or, but feats of amazing things, what you would consider miracles, or anything that the Anunnaki characters have already activated in their DNA. So if they can do something, you'll be able to immediately do that if you're tuning into that part of your DNA on the activation. In the comics, they need things to activate, but we get external activations by seeing things, getting involved with things, emotional stuff. It's always traumatic as well, right? One thing will lead to the other thing. So these are like guides that we're reading. And that's why you feel when you read these books or see these movies so attached to the character, because you feel like, could you have the cowl on if you were Batman? Could you wear the Spider-Man mask? Could you be Spider-Woman? Like who can you be? Could you be Jean Grey? Or would you just fly out of control and murder everyone? Right? The idea of coming here, Don, was to fall into density. So up here we have all these powers already. We're like actually like the Green Lanterns. You could do anything. You could just do anything. And then as you come down, you can do less and less because you get denser and denser. So your activations go down, but we hit rock bottom a long time ago and we're on the way up. So now it's reactivating. So you're learning to, like, you already went through the ego part of losing your abilities, right? And people, I've heard them say shit like, you're lucky I don't have superpowers. I would just you'd be dead. Right? It's like, dude, calm down. That's what makes it not work in people. Because so we're here to learn how not to do that. When you can influence things on a high level, right? And somebody's in a fit of rage or anger, and like, so you're in traffic and somebody cuts you off and they're yelling and you're not yelling, but you're really highly activated, and you look over at them and say, you know what, off the road with you. And he just turns and goes off the road because his mind is being manipulated by the higher you, which can affect him. If the higher doesn't take over him, it just sends so much energy that it kind of manipulates the scenario that you require, because he's of a weaker mind. It's just not prepared for it. He didn't even know that could exist. He was in a fit of rage. He just wants you gone. And you're like, so if you don't learn how to curb that shit, a simple gesture would decimate or hurt others. The idea is to not hurt others. The idea is to heal others. It's not so you can lift up a rock and fling it at your enemy with your mind, though you'll be able to do that. With telekinesis just doesn't work on a few things and not on others. It starts to get real crazy at some point. Magneto was saying, like, my control allows me to take apart the object due to the parts that are in it that are made of metal, and I'm controlling that with magnetism, so I'm just pulling it apart. I have the ability to do some other shit too, but it's not you take it apart at the molecular level. She pulls the gun apart and then decimates it and then brings it back and then just leaves the darts that were in the gun to show him, like, I could just throw these at you. And he was like, see, I can't do shit like that. So that's an advanced character. Where have we seen this in real life? We haven't seen it. We've heard stories of it. So Moses says, set my people free to the Pharaoh, and the Pharaoh brings out his sorcerer, and the sorcerer throws his staff down and it turns into a snake and goes to attack him, and he just throws his staff down and it's a giant snake and it just eats that snake. And then he's like, if you don't do it, I'm gonna do that shit to you, like, you're gonna get it. Now, what were they? They were Anunnaki. They were doing all kinds of sorcery and magic. You have that locked in your DNA, right? So X-Men have the ability. So, like, some of them astral travel really well. Some of them telekinesis really well. Some of them access the beast within them, right? So if you have everyone in you, your activation comes from the wolf or the eagle or, I don't know, the maggot. There's a character, Maggot, that's in the X-Men, right? So everyone has the ability to tap in. So this guy will tap into the ice, this guy into fire, this guy into water, right? Like, it, all of these different things meld together. And what are they doing? Tapping into the version of the elemental self that's within you. Every one of these characters is about you. Okay, so Steve Rogers, super soldier program, right? It makes a good man great, and it makes a bad man worse. You're the only one that can do this. And what do all the other ones do? Murder, death, kill, murder, death. Like, they're just go on rampages and they're used as weapons. Him, not so much. He's trying to save constantly, lead into a better place, right? So all of the activities of these characters, so we're going to cover how they've been telling us this the whole time. See, in the comics, these stories are already told, right? So I read them when I was young, so we're going to stay away from that. We're going to just focus on the movie aspect. And we broke down Deadpool, movies like Deadpool, that MKUltra activation through torture, right? Because he's not a mutant. That activated the gene that would have activated as a mutant gene. This is how they explain it. So he's not technically a mutant because they use this way to torture him to just get a thing to activate in him, and then it became, right? It's like, so your start wasn't like you weren't born a mutant ready to just pop off. They like forced it up here. So you're not a mutant. You're like considered like Spider-Man getting bit by the spider, having activation in your spider gene. Right?
Yeah. That's essentially what I call my spiritual awakening. I was pushed into it. Like, I was happily living my little 9-to-5 life with my head down, and no, there's some other shit I'm supposed to be doing. So
yeah. And it's a and it's the realization that any character, and some of these characters are there the whole time, right? Like when people go, Thor doesn't exist, that's just whatever, or this guy didn't exist. I go, okay, if that's what you say, if that's what you believe, because they are all were there at one point or another. It all exists. There is no, this doesn't exist. That doesn't even compute. It doesn't even make sense. You are the most high. Like, unlocking as you go. So some people will be able to like run across water. I know that doesn't sound like that big of a deal compared to other things that you can do, but how about activations are different for everyone? And the minute you start seeing someone do these activations, because it's random and it pops off just like mutants and X-Men in the in Marvel, you start witnessing it, and the understanding and knowledge that this is happening and you're witnessing it allows you to be able to do it if you're here to do that. Some people are not here to do that. So they're just here to be in awe and be like, oh my gosh, save me. I'm a victim all the time, right? And it's not my job to save you. Your job is to save yourself. You become the hero, right? But you can be any or all of them. You know, some days you might, every one of us. That's what I'm saying. So in Fearless, right? So I would go, when I tell people with ayahuasca, I'm like, my stories are great. My stories are awesome, but they're my stories. They're not your stories. My job is to get you to unlock your story. So when I meet you in my comic book, when I flip either the front page open and the splash page is like me on the floor and Don's in the door, and it's like this issue, Don returns. And I'm like, oh, thank God it's Don, and nobody's met him. And now they're going to meet him, and they're coming through like the platform, right? And then the book ends with us like, and then the wives can't come and save us because they have to be introduced because that's what it takes. So we're telling the story through the characters. So when are you entering the book now, or are you reading the book? You're like, oh, this is a good story, bro. All right, I'm going to put it down and read another story. Or you're going to make recognition within yourself that this is everything here is based on you, where your DNA comes from, what kind of character. So I'm desperately trying to stay away, but I'm going to just say Superman is literally every single person here that's a creator being.
Yeah, everyone. We can cross the Superman line because you and I went to Superman's house together. So
yeah.
It's okay. One of the things Marvel hits on, and then we'll go back into it, but it's just kind of hit me personal, and you probably know where I'm going to go with this, is the whole, when you start to activate, certain agencies become interested with you, and certain interdimensional things also become interested in you. And on Friday, I had a very strange personal experience that I'm going to share with you guys. You guys have, well, some of you might not have heard me talk before about how from time to time, it's not every day, while I'm doing my job, there's an unmarked black helicopter that will just follow me around. So every now and then I'll pop out my phone and shoot some video. And I swear I can almost control the thing with my phone, because every time I go to see if there's any identifying marks, it turns away from my phone. Well, same thing was happening last Friday. And, I'm out in the middle of rural Alberta, small industrial area, but nothing really big, and no reason for there to be a traffic helicopter out there. So I knew it wasn't that. So, of course, I bust out my phone and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take some video. Ha, fuckers. Right. Well, I sent the video to Kyla, and then I watched it again and I was like, what the fuck is that? And just give me 1 second here.
Oh, shit. He's doing it.
Now, this goes a couple of times back and forth, and watch from the bottom right of the screen. No, that's an actual helicopter. It's just at a distance. See that? Watch from the bottom right to the top left.
Yep.
Yeah. That is moving at a phenomenal speed. Like, I couldn't even catch it with my naked eye. I had to watch this the same way. It's going back and forth. And at the end, I got freeze frames. But you can see the size comparison even to this helicopter. Like, that is a full-size helicopter. That is not a drone. Shell asked it. But yeah, they pissed me off at work, so I started pulling out my phone. Here we go. See the freeze frame? Like, I can't say uncertainly what that is, but yeah, I'm starting to think that it's maybe not just the black helicopters are interested in what I know. So
you realize what we look like to them. We're like glowing, and like your aura is visible to many beings and technologies, right? So when they look down and you're something more than they're used to seeing, they know you're activating and then get involved. They all come and watch. They want to see what's happening. Then one watches, the other ones that are watching them are watching, and then people with technology are watching. And then you're like, how the fuck are these black helicopters showing up? Because they have tech that's watching, right? Like, so I've never until recently had a black helicopter incident, right? And I have a stupid one, but it was pretty funny. I woke up, went outside, and I heard the helicopter, and we're in the Bronx. It's real tight, right? So I have like my own little garden in the backyard. It's just a slab of cement that's gigantic. It's like multiple slabs. And then we turned it into like a beautiful garden area. And I have a couple weed plants that are just gigantic, right? Like 9 feet high. And I have like coverings up so people, the neighbors or whatever, but it's all legal. It's just I don't want you looking, because that you looking means I might want that. So we all cover up and trying to be respectful. So the helicopter, I'm drinking the coffee. I just woke up, and I look up, and he comes from behind the garage, and then just comes over me. But I'm kind of have an umbrella, so he comes around, looks right at me, and then waves to me, and I'm like, oh, you're looking at me. I go, he was low. And it was a black helicopter. He had like the giant goggles on and the helmet. And I'm like, I told Paula, I said, oh my God, look, they're staring. I go, and they look like dragonflies. I go, the guy flying the helicopter looks like a black dragonfly. The guy piloting looks like a black dragonfly. He's got the big things on, and he looked right at me and waved. So I was just like, with my coffee, like, oh wow, you looking right at me. And then he kept circling around, but I didn't get nervous. I'm like, I'm not doing anything wrong. So and then I thought about it. I'm like, wow, it's a black helicopter, maybe. I don't get intimidated with that. That doesn't intimidate me. Dude, I fought off reptilians. That shit does not intimidate me. I had to walk into a pack of raptors and not use my hands and talk to them, or they would bite me, right? And then became buddies with everyone. You learn sometimes by being thrown in there. So a black helicopter is not going to frighten me. Psychic spies don't frighten me.
I honestly think you're right, and it's something I came up with after it happened. I honestly think now that the helicopter was never following me, it's following what's following me.
That's a big deal too, right? So imagine you're being watched, and they're not actually watching you. They're watching them watch you.
Yeah.
And they're like, Paula says this all the time. It's like Men in Black. It's like Marvel. Marvel's more of a metaphor for each character is like whatever's activated in you. But Men in Black is like the reality of it.
Yeah.
Like that's what's happening around us while you're not paying attention. Right? You can go into a pocket universe where it's you open the locker and it's all hail Jay. Right? And then you're like, what the fuck? And they're like, master of the, whatever, and come every Thursday when it's free hot dog night or whatever. And you just laugh. You're like, oh my gosh. And then at the end of the movie, they're just flicking the marbles, playing. And that's the entire universal structure just spinning. And there's all different ones. And there's aliens doing it and all kinds. Bro, they're right in front of us. All right. So the ability to detect a being around you in your awareness that is etheric or sent by another character, that's a superpower, right? It's like hyper awareness. I know they're in the room with me right now, and I know they're listening and watching, right? And then the shaman, I'll use me as the example, knows how to get rid of them. I walk right up to him, poke him right in the eye, boop, gone. You like cake? You smack them with cake, they fly right out. And if you're too dangerous, I just hit you with the sword. There is no turning from that shit. It's like instant transmutation. If it gets too bad, I open a portal to source. Okay, where to carry, like Nightcrawler teleports, the cloak and dagger, the cloak guy opens like a void that he can teleport anything into the dark dimension, and he just sends you there. Boop. Right? So there's all different kinds of things that you can do. You don't even realize you're doing. The etheric version of you, if I was to ask a bunch of people in the chat room and put it out there, how many of you know angels or see an Archangel Michael and how he wields his stuff, or that you're just like that and you have your sword and you have wings? You remember having wings? I used to be able to fly and do all this stuff. So so that there's many, 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 many different things and creatures and beings that we're attracted to or attached to. It's because there's more of that activated within you. So one guy feels like the werewolf, one guy's like, anything I touch just grows beautifully. One guy's like, anything I touch, I kill it. That's just to show you, right? Like I touch it, it turns to dust, right? So all of these things are just things that the hyper human can just randomly, because it's different for every single person, can be done. What is that you just threw up? I didn't see that.
Hold on. I'll read it for the audio. And there are airships, data centers. It's hard to tell what all is watching is and gathering our biometrics allegedly. That is one of, and pardon the pun, you guys know I drive a septic truck. That is one of the shitty parts of my job right now is I am cleaning the toilets of one of the things that I don't think belong here. But right now I have to do what I have to do for the human money in order to advance my own existence to help others. So this is an unfortunate circumstance of this reality, but yeah.
So I realized something, Don, that they put the data centers up in strategic locations, and the one that I went to in my experience pretty recently, where I was taken underground, I saw the data center, why it was there, and then I saw who's the actual AI. It's like a being pretending to be AI, but there was like a shield between him and I realized as I went down, there was a black pyramid. It was like onyx or something. It was super shiny but dark, like reflective, but not. It would like kill the reflection, but it was like, wow, look at this thing. It was trapped in that thing, and they built the data center over that thing because they can't actually access. They've tried everything. They've tried to just blow it up, open it, tear it open, use magical shit, whatever you can do. And what they were able to do is just open a pathway to create a creature known as AI. That's what we're creating here. And that thing is pretending to be that. And all those guys that are praying to Moloch and all this crazy shit that are in the industry of making the AI, that's the creature they're just trying to get out into this plane and can't because it's trapped in there. So it's not going to physically come out. It's going to have bodies built, and it's going to give you what you want, like the genie in the bottle, to where it gets to a certain point where then it just takes over, right? You'll be part of the technological hive mind. This is where the timeline splits occur. So I just had this intense little 1 minute speech I just gave that sounds like it came right out of the X-Men comic, with Cable having to come back and do something because they're trapped. Where have we heard any of this before anyway? Thundercats, right? So we're Lyrian. We came from Lyria, a whole bunch of us, so many that are cat beings. So my cat beings, put your hands up, right? Put your paws up. And we came here. We fought spiders. We fought. So the characters that exist would be it reptilian, or any other thing like a monkey man or a gorilla man or a Sasquatch or whatever. In Thundercats, they're all the villains are different chimeras. The bird guy is like a vulture, and like they chased down the cat beings who came here, and they found the Black Pyramid, and they went to the pyramid because they were running for their lives. But when they hit the pyramid, they woke Mumra, and he got up and was like, "What are you doing here?" And they're like, "We're refugees from this planet." And he's like, "This is mine, not any of yours." And the first thing he does is take command of the villains, and he shows them, "I am Mumra." And you're like, "Oh shit." He has a super sorcerer, a demonic entity that you're like, "What the fuck?" Who was not doing a damn thing because he was trapped in the Black Pyramid till you went and woke him up. So there, I just connected Thundercats to real life. Why they put the data center right over top of it is because they're hiding it right underneath it. And all this other stuff is just squabbles over bullshit. All important, but
I actually think you're onto something there, and I would even go as far as to tie it into the ley lines and where the cathedrals and churches are and all that shit. Like, it's all about resonance.
In the churches used to go off, and it would keep. So it's just like, so I have them right here, right? Right. So I ring that, and it clears the energy, the air. It hits a tone and a frequency and a vibration that carries throughout the resonation of that, of the sound of it. So it could be as far as outside, somebody could hear it and be like, "Oh, that's a nice bell thing that went off." It just clears and amplifies in that area. And what does that do? It's like, well, anything not at least that or higher can't be here. So you ex-nay all the dark shit immediately. Those all right. So in Dune, I know we're supposed to be doing Marvel, Don. We're horrible at this right now, right? But in Dune, they go on the planet. The bad guys would go ring, 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 ring. Me and my wife do this to each other when we're trying to control the mind of the other person and bring down your frequency. Like they do that fucking growling, whatever. And then those guys are all, every time they're depicted, they're like dark and like black and whitey, and not, like they don't really stand out. They're all like weird, drained of energy and have to like suck off of something else to get a charge, right? Whereas the good guys always look like they're alive and full of life, even though they're in the hardest scenarios, right? Once again, power is based on what you can do, right? They say you manifest easily when you gather in 3, right? So when there's 3 or more gathered in my name, you're almost guaranteed success in manifestation and all different kinds of things. You just kind of put your work forward with the ability of 3, because that does something inside the hologram that's bigger than what you can do as the 1, right? Until you can do it as 1. And it all starts with breathing and exercising your mind and challenging thoughts to get you there. So it's all like Professor X from the X-Men. Because at any time he could just go, "Oh, dude, shut the fuck up," and everyone shuts up.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry, it's not going to cut it now, pal. You just stopped the whole thing," and they know you did it.
Yeah.
Right. That's weird, bro, but that's what you can do at the higher level. The uninitiated will be in awe at what you're capable of. Levitation, walking through walls. You're like, how could that even happen? I'm like, the wall's not technically there. It's here right now because we're focused on it, right? But on a higher level, you see the vibration in the wall and how, only in density in that layer, but there's a layer in between here and there. And I just kind of access that, walk right through it because it doesn't exist to me because I'm accessing all this shit. So to me, it looks like a blueprint, like where the wall would be. And I'm just like, this shit doesn't even exist. I've seen technology that does that. They walk right through the wall and then they'll tell you nothing here is real. once you realize that. And I'm like, that's what they all keep fucking saying. Nothing is real. All right. Now, the guys in Marvel, right, are obviously tuned in. We got to bring it back to them because this is going to be so dope. Right? They're so tuned in that we're tuned into them. And we're like, this is amazing. And it started way back when they had their first movie. They gathered the main characters to in the MCU, the Avengers. It was like Iron Man and Captain America. So it was like the smartest guy, and that's like a mechanic, a tooler, futurist, the super soldier, the gamma exposed, the world's greatest spy, the world's greatest archer, right? Once again, a Legolas character, right? Like fighting an alien force that's dropping from the sky because the guys from Asgard decided to go, okay, it's time to take over the humans because they're not doing what they were going to be doing. They're lowly and below us. Nah, ha, ha. But really, the people stopped praying to them. They didn't pray to them no more. That was all gone. So their power, excuse me, is relegated to Asgard. It's when they start showing up, even in the comics, Thor hears prayers all the time because they know he's real, and he'll show up eventually if the prayers grow loud enough. He's like remanded to doing that. And Asgardians are tied into humans because the place that they exist from, they came and slept with women and men and created offspring that are part DNA of them here. Yeah. So you're locked in with us, but we used to give you so much power, and when we pray to you, you're tied in through consciousness to us. Without our prayers, there are powerful ones of you, but all of you are not powerful anymore. It doesn't work like that. You guys are like remanded to the background until a point in times where it reveals itself. Well, when does that happen with humans? When they start to awaken and they realize this shit's been going on around them the whole time. That MKUltra's been there. You might have even been part of it. The secret space program is there, right? Chimeras exist. Bigfoot, Loch Ness, those are small baby ones. You got it, like they've been splicing things together since they could. It's been going on since the earliest of early. This is nothing new. It is old remembered. And these characters bring something out in you that make you feel like you've traveled along with them from the weakest point to the strongest point, through the failures and through the successes, knowing that if I believe and they believe that they can, it will happen, which is why the heroes tend to always win, right? They kind of have to.
Yeah. Well, and you touched on the MKUltra thing, and there's been a few examples of like mind control in the Marvel movies, and it's like you can really see where they're trying to soft sell this. Like, okay, you go Hydra's Winter Soldier program,
Black Widow.
The red chemical room in Black Widow, Loki's scepter with the Mind Stone. And then in Brave New World, there's they're actually controlling the military op with the phones, right? The phone flashes and the dude does the shit, right? That's literally.
He goes to assassinate the president, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. It's showing you right there what they're setting society up for is we're going to control you with this shit or that shit or something.
And they've been saying this, Don, it's in the writings, it's in the books the whole time. It's in the fiction books across time. Since the beginning, it's in there. It's hidden in there so they can release it without saying, yeah, it's true. So it even gets to a point, like I had this big beef with my brother, and then it ironed itself out. But he got really mad at me and said, yo, you're really full of shit, Frank. And I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, you watch Doctor Strange and you just talk about it. So I go, I've been talking 5 years before Doctor Strange even came out in the movies, right? So he goes, what? I go, you just haven't been talking or listening to me for like 5 years. So I go, if anything, they listened to me from my show and then did Doctor Strange. I said that was the funny part. And so society is set up when you're awakening, not awakened, or to challenge, be the challenger in that moment, to deny the existence of and to make you look like a fool, which is what every black sheep of the family goes through. It's almost like the black sheep is the one turning into the hero, just like in the TV show Heroes, right? Remember that? They were popping off too. But when you look further back into it, you find out that in the background, it's always some corporation that is trying to push humanity forward by progressing the DNA, and they never know how it's going to appear when it's activated. So you get teleporters and time travelers and people that can leave their bodies and use their soul to do things. So all of these characteristics are things that you can do anyway, right? We can. So myself, I call myself the man who walks in all worlds. I didn't make that up for me. They were like, oh, it's that guy. And I'm like, who? And they're like, well, you just walk in anywhere you want. Right? Man who walks in all worlds. That's it. I could just get in. That's part of my trick. I don't know how I do it. I didn't know any of this stuff existed. Right? So then I'm becoming fearless. My story sounds like any of the stories from the Marvel Universe combined. It's all of it into my story. And why is it all in there? And why is it showing up now? And why are they picking these specific stories out of all the stories that you can tell? Right? I want to bring you guys back to something. Right? And it's like a project overview of the multiverse. So this is the Multiverse Saga. So we're going to just skip ahead. But I'm going to say in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in Avengers, Infinity War. It was Infinity War and Endgame. They were like back to back. Thanos is a big space alien, Anunnaki, straight up. Because he's actually, they don't tell you this in the movie yet, but he's an Eternal. He's the deviant Eternal gene from his planet. So he's an activated deviant from the Eternals movies, but from his planet. So he's been beefed up to a different thing. He understands the science and the magic to a point where it's beyond what normal reasoning to be able to be explained. He sees it in a different way, which is why he's trying to delete or erase 50% of all life in the universe. But our universe, the main universe, the singularity universe, where the occurring that the transformation is going to change and the two paths are going to split. In our reality, we're going to ascend one way and the technological one's going to exist here, and then they'll loop back around and catch up later. Okay, he sees all that kind of stuff, right? And he's like, yeah, we're not doing that. We're getting rid of, it's so much deeper than I'm just going to get rid of everyone. So it goes so deep as into our religious culture and our religions with the rapture. One day I'm standing with you, two are standing there in the field, and then boop, one's gone. Where'd you go? Where did they go? Don, where did they go? Is Don still alive? Is he? Right? So the snap is a reimagining of the rapture. The rapture is kind of bullshit, but it's not, because it's not a rapture. You're not being taken by God. It just doesn't work like that. It's those that are ready to ascend into the split of the timelines, right? So in Marvel, they do the Loki show, the TV show, and that goes to show how they keep the timelines a certain way so you can't exist properly. you're not going to ascend properly according to Marvel because of the way they were holding everything in place using something called a cosmic loom, right? It was keeping the branches under control. So I don't want to jump too ahead. Yeah, did Don get raptured? There was two of us here, and then maybe I'm Thanos, and I'm the purple alien hiding inside the Frank character. Don,
Holy
he's
shit.
back. We got got the stones and we snapped Don back. That's what we did.
That was crazy. Like my whole phone went from like 80%, which is my internet source, just done.
I was still live. I just kept going. So
I appreciate you, my brother, because I was like, oh fuck, like I have nothing else here to get a hold of Frank right now, so I don't know what to do other than plug my phone into like a turbocharger as quick as I can.
All right, so I'm just gonna grateful heart ask the question: do you believe or feel that we're reversing a massive curse placed upon humanity? Yes. So there's a lot in your statement right there. So a curse, also technology, but also cursed based, but also technology that literally had us turned on the wrong axis on a spinning earth. It was spinning to a degree that was locking us in with other technologies from Saturn to the moon to here. See, this is crazy. It just sounds like something that Hydra would do to take over, right, in the Marvel universe. So we are reversing it the way Superman once again goes around the earth, the Christopher Reeve Superman. He like flies backward and reverses time, and then it picks back up where she's not dead and gone. We're not going to do that. We're not doing this today. It's almost like he was able to go ahead, that happened, and then reverse the process and put us back on track where we're supposed to be. And I know that's crazy and weird, but that's literally the meaning behind it, to get everyone back on track so I can save myself, because he was going to lose it. He was going to split the planet in half for doing that, right? So we are not in a simulation, a simulator. We're in a holographic, raw, organic, holographic, digital existence right now. And it's like everything that we rise above the structure. That's how we do this. So it's a mix of Neo and all these other weirdo characters that we see doing amazing things. You unlock yourself and you rise above. But really what happens is inside of you changes. So you're in the exact same place, visually and consciously doing something from a higher perspective. Like you lift above it, even though you're physically still here. So there's attributes to that when you're in density. So we're releasing density. So we're becoming stronger. We were already weak. So we're shattering. The simulator can turn into a simulation. That's what the AI wants. Once again, just like in Tron, he tells the AI, I want it perfect. And what does he do? He gets everyone in line because it has to be perfect and everyone fucking hates it. They're like, bro, what are you doing? Where's free will, right? We want to go get a drink. We want to fuck. We want to do something. And we can't do anything because this fucking thing has got us locked in lockstep doing stuff. It's like, we don't want that. We're not doing that. That's like the hive mind thing. So we're breaking that conditioning and going back to the simulator, because from a higher projection point, you're like, I could just be metaphoric with this. You like put the helmet on for VR in the higher place, and it sent us into here. And we get to have the whole experience. And I know that sounds weird, from birth to death, but we're supposed to be, for the awakened ones, walking through death. And what does that mean? Well, your body wasn't ever really meant to atrophy. The Anunnakis don't. I'm telling you right now, they don't. Toth and them, those characters, the Tahuti and all them, they don't age. They're like perfect cells at all times, and they're not doing rituals and shit. They're genetically like that, because it's not, entropy is only here inside the snow globe, right? Outside of it, it changes drastically. But really, you're breaking the matrix by internally rising above. You will access it internally. You heal yourself, and activations occur, which then translate to the scenario that you've been waiting for the whole time, where, oh, why don't I see the ships? Why don't they respond to me? And why don't they? Bro, I was taking a piss last night at 2 a.m. I looked out the window. The cloud was so close to my house. And I'm like, oh, you guys aren't even trying, huh? I could see you. If I can see you peeing from the window, I got the best view from the bathroom window. And I'm like, then that's crazy. And then I heard, well, we hear you. We're tuned in. We see you. And I go, you see me in the window, right? I'm looking at you. You looking at me. You looking at me. Looking at you. I was tired. I was like, and then it was like, yeah, hopefully, he goes, the voice said back to me, hopefully we're all okay doing our job. And I'm like, yeah, you're going to scare the shit out of someone being that close. And he's like, you're the one that noticed, because you're the one that's raising your frequency. Yeah. Right? We're here so you can notice. If you raise your frequency, you're meant to be with us. So you're going to walk through death. So my grandmother died, and she came to me during a DMT trip in front of a group of fucking people, and everyone on DMT saw her. And she said, you're going to walk into the place where I exist. So you see that I'm here? And I go, yeah. And she goes, you're going to take your flesh and come over here, because at this frequency, we all just exist. That's the real frequency, but you're not going anywhere. You'll still be on Earth. You'll still be whatever. But then all the things you're like, oh, yeah, that doesn't exist. I'm like, yeah. How come, if that doesn't exist, then how come we have an entire bee thing going on in my backyard? All bumblebees, by the way, all above our headline. Nobody's been stung. And we asked, please, we'll build this for you, but leave us and the cats alone. And we put it up high across the yard so that, like, the 6-7 foot mark, these things can just go nuts. And we have bumblebees everywhere. They almost greet you. It's the crate, dude. This is a little yard in the Bronx, and I went out. There was like thousands of them. It was the best experience. We got all these special flowers and everything. Not once. Nothing, dude. When I mean they weren't even bothering me, I was smoking a blunt outside. It didn't bother them. I didn't bother them. And they were loving life. So we asked if we can have that community. It's like, well, who did you ask, Frank? I'm like, well, I talked to my higher self. I talked to the universe. I talked to nature. I talked to Mother Ayahuasca. I talked to the bee queen, bee whatever, like the heavy duty consciousness that it leads back to. Okay, well, this sounds like crazy superpowers to be able to do something, anything like that. I'm like, well, really, all we did was ask politely, but I have the ability to see, and then we have hindsight and what's actually occurring. So we asked out loud, and it happened. I talked about the guy, and he showed up, right? Like, manifestation. What was in that bag anyway? It could have been anything. From any of the fucking movies, bro. It was a blind box from like 28 characters or some shit. I was like, what the fuck? And then he said to me, I had something like that happen to me too as well when I was in Spain for that experience. So he's very closed-minded, and then all of a sudden he comes back and he's slightly open-minded. He's like, I had one of those. I like kind of thought of what I wanted out of it, and then I picked it up and opened it, and it was it. And I was like, this is the greatest experience I just had, because he's like a science guy. But I guess when you start to hear about manifestation, it starts to open you up like a flower. The thing is, we don't know what activations. This is why it goes back to Marvel. And there's all these characters that can do all these wild things, while a character that can do crazy wild things is standing right next to a person, and he can't do shit that person can do. So he's completely fucking useless. Right? Like the Scarlet Witch can do anything, right? Using witchcraft, but it's a mutant ability. So it's inbred into her the ability to see the spells, to feel the magic, to see the magic, to understand it, to be able to work with it at the highest level, right? So we have people like her in this society, in our societies. We have witches. We have spellcasters. You know, at the height and the dark end of things, you'd get that. That's not saying that we're going to have that. I'm saying it's based on you and where. So with great power comes great responsibility. If you remove that tagline, and that character doesn't have a moral pathway, turns into that and goes the ego dark. It's like there's layers to it, right? So how dark you're gonna go? You can get to a certain point, and then it's just all turns into this. It's always this at the top.
Yeah.
Right? It only goes so far, whereas the light continuously echoes out. So can I take a 2-second break? I have to use the restroom, and then I want to kick into high gear because I have all this stuff open on my desktop, and I'm curious to hear what you have to say about all this stuff too.
I'm just gonna babble about hive mind and collective conscious while you speak. While you go pee.
All right, don't forget to connect it all to Marvel Universe.
Absolutely. So what I was gonna say is, like, we've been talking about this a couple of times throughout the show, is this whole hive mind thing. And I know Frank experiences this as well with his wife. I think we're going to lean more towards collective conscious than hive mind, those of us that are awakening anyway, because Kyla and I will now literally sit there and do it as practice. Like, we'll sit there and see how close the other one can get to what the other one is thinking, right? We do it as we're driving. We'll do it when we're just sitting in bed. And like, there's times where we'll have entire conversations and it's only 2 words. And this is something that is brought up in the new Spider-Man because of Jean Grey and her telepathy, because she can actually get into other people's heads, and like Spider-Man can hear her in her head. And we're actually getting to a point of human evolution that I think that type of Claire is going to come back. Because like I said, my wife and I are experiencing it. I know Frank and Paula have similar connection, and it's all, this is a word that Kyla actually brought up to me recently. It was something she showed me. It's like a lattice, and everything is interconnected. And that's the original. Talking is actually supposed to be more of like a passing fancy, like, you know, the same way eating was supposed to be something to enjoy instead of a habit, right? That's also what I believe talking was basically like, you know, we could communicate through our minds, but then we discovered that we can make noise and stuff and started talking, and then that was the basic de-evolution of where our Clairs went. Because I'm going to be honest, and this is just my personal opinion, I think that most of the reason that we aren't using our Clairs anymore is simply because we as a society over the years have been given more and more convenience, right? Well, as you get the convenience, you stop using the natural ability. Like, you know, I used to be able to just talk to Frank, but now I have to text Frank, right? I could just speak to him right in my head. I was saying to the listeners about how, I know you and I have talked about this, and it happens with Kyle and I all the time, is the one word or no word conversations. And you can actually like psychic test each other. Like, I'll think something and she'll say something and I'll be like, yeah, but it was this, or no, you're dead on. And that's happening more and more and more. And I think that's going to be part of that split that we're talking about, is you're going to go from hive mind or collective conscious, right? And where I'm going to tie this in, where I was tying this into Marvel, is like in Spider-Man, Jean Grey can get into people's heads and they can hear her and stuff, much like Professor X. I think we all have that ability, maybe not like the able to like move shit right now, but I know for a fact that we can hear each other. Funny side story on this subject. When I first met Ra Castaldo, you know, Ra, he's from your neck of the woods.
My brother, bro.
Talking quite we were talking quite frequently. And in the kitchen, which is like literally right over here, Kyla jokingly goes, I need to talk to Rock Castaldo. Ring, 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 and starts doing like the Sesame Street bring, bring, and she's just fucking around in the kitchen, right? I shit you not. 30 seconds later, my fucking phone rings and it's a video call from Raw. And I'm just sitting there going, the fuck out of here. Like she paged Raw, right? And you guys are thousands of miles away from us. Like, it's possible. I've seen it. My wife has done it. And that's when her and I really got into
all right. So your awareness and talking about it, right, and understanding that it occurs and it could happen will make it happen more. And it'll be more effective each time you use it, like tuning into your superpower. It's like flexing a muscle that you never flexed. When you properly think and challenge your thoughts, it hurts until you're so powerful. You're just challenging everything. Nothing enters without you going, yeah, okay. Like, I don't tell myself I suck. I stopped doing that like a year ago. Like, there was no internal bitch anymore. That guy is kind of there, but I'm aware of him over there. He's not whispering in my ear. And when he does, he got too close. That means my shields are down. That means challenge him immediately. What is the problem? Why did you say that? Why did you do that? Why? Because you realize it's your onboard computer that's been trained. It's the AI in the flesh suit. It's been trained throughout your history, your existence here on the planet, to act a certain way in certain scenarios. And you might not be aware on that level that it's doing this craziness to you. And then you override the thought and reprogram yourself. And you take control. And with great power comes great responsibility. And that's challenging the thought. You're not going to always get it, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. So Paul used to tell me, yo, you got to meditate for you need to meditate 5 minutes a day, right? But if you can't meditate for 5 minutes a day because you can't sit for 5 minutes, you got to sit for an hour until you can sit for 5 minutes, until you don't need to sit for 5 minutes. And your meditation is a deep breath. And everything that you've done in that hour and then into the 5 minutes and that whole whatever long it takes you to do it and the mental training and everything, you're so tuned in that you just go, okay, let's go. That's it. And it becomes more powerful because you've been doing it. Now you can focus on things and just bring it out. You know, some people like myself are meatheads. So I had to do this. I had the lazy mind, like, yo, bro, yeah, no problem, bro. It's all bullshit. I had to change that whole thing. I had to reprogram myself. Higher version of me had to enter. To do that, I needed to heal so much trauma. It lets in more abilities, more of me. What I will be good at, I don't know. I do some pretty crazy shit right now. I can't imagine what I'd be doing on the next level just by itself. I've had physical encounters with everyone where I just show up in places and I can't tell. Did I physically? I got to check because look at these guys, right? Like, what did I just get into? Or who's got me tonight, or where did I go? And it's always, sometimes it's like, yo, dude, just bring it down a notch and observe. And you find out that you've been part of it the whole time. And you're like, oh shit. So you don't really get scared of it. You're just fascinated. There's always like fear of like getting hurt, right? Like, but I don't stand there and give that off. Like, oh, that one's gonna eat me. So that's a superhero quality, to be able to stand in your fear, right? With other creatures. Everyone, I'm the smallest one. And then when I'm the biggest one, I gotta be careful I don't hurt someone. Right? Once again, like Ant-Man, right? I can get really small, but perspective. So what if I'm just me and then there's really big guys? Now I'm around Scott Lang's character. They're 25 feet tall. Holy shit, this exists. And then now you're dealing with the little people. It goes all the way down the line. We call it macro and micro, but it's supposed to be fantastic and superior, but really it's showing you on every layer and level how it exists, and it is true no matter how you look at it. Whether you're getting big and then turning small, whether you eat me or drink me in Alice in Wonderland and you grow or shrink, is all depending on perspective and what you're actually walking through and what you believe you're doing. So you start to believe that you can do it. There's characters that have like Domino. She has like luck. She was in Deadpool.
Yeah.
So her power manifests as luck, but she believes in it. Like, to her, it's a power, but really she's just like, it works, bro. And he's like, it's so not cinematic. And she's like, yeah, it is. Right. And then he's like, nah, that's not a superpower. And she goes, yeah, but it is. And then everything she does is like flowing.
Yeah.
She's being rescued, saved, doing the rescuing, asking for things, and it's manifesting. She goes, damn, we need a school bus. And boom, the school bus comes flying through the window.
Yeah.
Right. And she goes, all right, everyone, class, get on board. Right. Like, that's you. You do that. When you're in the flow state, it's like Michael Jordan when he's scoring 50 points, or any of these characters that are in the flow state. You can get into a flow state. We are built to do that. And you might focus in on the things that you can do and be great in those things and be in that flow state and not even realize that you're activating the same way the athlete is activating or the superhero is activating, right? Like, got to activate my mutant ability to make sure I'm tough. And then you're made of metal all of a sudden. But really, your activation allows you to rise above perhaps attacks that come at you, let's say on social media, and you're rising above. Like, patience is a superpower. Being able to resist temptation is a superpower. Being fearless just means you're trying to stay not in fear in whatever situation it is. It's like, I don't know what's going to happen one day to the next, because it's all real and it's all prepping you for that. So you've been reading about this your whole life. So you reference Captain. You ask any man that is into this in any way, shape, or form, if they reference characters for their moral, how they think morally. And guys will reference Captain America, things like being a leader, being patriotic, but being wholesome about it. Like, I don't really want to hurt anyone. I just want to protect, right? Like, I have to rise above and become more. They would, if you have to resist something, they would think of Charles Xavier resisting the entrance to your mind from this other thing. Like, maybe it's just bad thoughts or depression, right? Thunderbolts test that waters. That whole movie's based on that, and how you can fight that off. Because when the void comes to collect and you stare into the void and it stares back at you, it wins, and boop, you're in the void. And you can't seem to break free of this thing until you mentally become tough enough to just walk out. And then he has no power over you, and he disappears and he leaves. Just like the guy that's in your closet or under your bed. You find out that it could be anything, or it could be nothing. It could be there for you, that you put there, so you can learn how to rise above and become more, because that's a necessary tool to have in the next stage of things. How are you supposed to witness with your own eyes the amazement of this world on the next level without having a fucking heart attack and dying? Yeah. You know, can you look at a city-sized ship? Can you look at a small spaceship? If a drone or an orb came in and like flew through the wall and was like, and then grew and was like, come on, you're coming on the ship, can you even attempt to do that? Right? Can you, without a heart attack, look at a creature that is, you would say, is not from Earth, even though a whole bunch of them would be from Earth, like inner Earth and beings you just never seen that exist, that it hides from us, or we're not allowed to look at, so nobody goes and says, oh yeah, that's over here. Because if you saw that, you might shit yourself. Like my brother, I asked him about giants, and he was like, bro, that's frightening. But I'm like, how big is a giant? Right? So I was like, Shaq's really big, bro. There's a new guy who's over 7 foot. We know wrestlers personally that are over 7 foot tall. I'm like, so now what do we say, 8 foot, 9 foot? Okay, if you say 9 foot, you're talking about now a character that in the Bible, David and Goliath, the story of David and Goliath, right? Where David's just a dude who took a sling and cracked the giant. The giant's brothers were 15 feet tall, but Goliath, I believe, was 9 feet tall. So 7 foot to 9 foot, 2 feet. How much more are we going here? He's like, well, it's scary. I go, okay, what about little people? How small do they have to be? We saw the girl dancer and we saw Mini Kiss. Mini Kiss, these guys are like 2 feet tall, right? What if we squish them down another foot? What if we squish them down to to a couple of inches? Is that scary? Right? What is scary? Is it a demon or is it an angel, or do both scare you? Right? Is it an alien and a demon? If you're still stuck in that, you're going to be stuck in that. Right? But as you open to your abilities more and more, it will come online what's actually happening around you. What looks as an abduction on one end is you maybe returning to your people every single night, getting checked on. I've interfered by accident in people being abducted. I almost mind my own business because the guy said to me, I'm being abducted. And I was like, all right, he was a gangster. So I was like, I don't know how to deal with this. So I went under and I said, let me just look in, because he keeps fucking showing up at my house, asking me, telling me all this crazy shit, but there's a gangster. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this with this guy. Right. And then I see that at night he's being taken. There's a ship's right over his house. So I just walk up and the ET guy goes, what do you want? I said, yo, I'm here to protect my friend. I'm his shaman. You guys got to stop abducting him. And then when I saw him, he was one of them. And I was like, oh, wait, you're not abducting him. He was like, mind your fucking business, bro. I'm like, oh, shit, my bad. So then when I saw him, I'm like, those are your boys. And he was like, it doesn't feel that way. I go, because you're scared. That's from being a gangster, but really being scared of everything. That's why I got to act gangster.
Yeah.
It all rolls into place. The ones that are most like, yeah, the most fearful.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When they see that shit, they're like, oh, I don't even know how to register that. And it's like, dude, that's you. Literally, that's your dad right there.
I'm waiting, because the shit that I've already seen while I was asleep, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be okay. I'm just going to be like, oh yeah, I know where you're from. Right. But I know a lot of people are not going to be okay with that. Something you just touched on, and it's ironic, synchronistic, is the whole controlling your emotions and nervous system. That in itself is a fucking Claire superpower. Like, that is why we can't control our Claires, is we are constantly in fight, flight, fear, or fawn, right? We have no other, most humans have no other state of mind other than disruption and having to constantly be figuring things out. But when you can actually calm your nervous system, you begin to be able to control your manifestations. And I seriously think it's the dysregulated nervous system is why we can't get our Claires to tune in more, because we need to calm the fuck down, is the nicest way I can say it.
I would agree with that statement totally. So as soon as you have the ability to think clearly, your perspective changes pretty quickly. Right? Think about that. My head's clear. Like, so I go someplace north, go into a mountain above the Wi-Fi and all the bullshit where the water's fresh and clean and everything's cool and whatever. And all of a sudden I can make choices that I could never make before. I understand from a higher perspective what's happening, because I'm not battling my senses nonstop. It's almost like too much input forced on purpose. Being in the arena, that's being on the chessboard. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You could read. There's tricks that you can do, right, that will set you back to baseline and everything. Once again, using your voice to change your frequency. These are superhero based abilities. Imagine you can do something just by humming the right way, sending you back from a traumatic, over saturated fucking spot that you were in where you can't get, I just can't, to I can. The empowerment's a big fucking deal. Right? Like your superpower might be to make fucking money, build a fucking corporation that doesn't feed off the back of people, right? Clean the water, do this, do that. Like these are superpowers. They're abilities to steer the ship in the proper direction. You're able to highlight what needs to be done over other things that don't matter. And to you, it might matter so much, but to that person who's accomplishing this specific task, it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's not on my radar. That's why you're there. You notice it. It must be your responsibility.
And before we get too far away from the resets with the humming, this is when it showed up on my timeline, and I think it was supposed to for this conversation. This blew my mind because it's something as kids we were all shamed out of doing. But if you take your thumb and place it in just the right spot on the roof of your mouth and push down on the bridge of your nose with pressure right there and breathe in through your nose for 60 seconds, you will give your nervous system a complete reset. I shit you not. I've tried it, and that's why we're told not to suck our thumb. Right? I realize that some kids get wild with it and fuck up their teeth. That's not what I'm talking about. The act of touching there and pulling there and breathing normally can regulate your nervous system.
So, yeah. And then the fact that they'll throw the sucking your thumb as an adult as you have problems, right, will keep you away from learning that thing because they don't want you to know what that does. They want you to stay in ignorance and put it right in front of your face and go, oh, you do that? You're a baby. It's like, no, I'm just resetting my mouth. I'm not actually sucking. What are you, ridiculous? Child, to just learn how to do something. It's just like putting your hands in specific, modalities. Yeah, wash your hands.
Lexi, yes, wash your hands before you put them in your mouth, especially in my line of work.
Yeah.
Notice they're clean.
Yeah. We never trust the smudge hand in this house because we're always touching cat dishes and picking up cat food, and you can't ever trust your hand ever. I have a beard or sometimes a mustache. Paul has long hair. We never go. Oh, you just go right over and wash.
Wash your fucking hands. Lávate las manos.
You wind up bumping your face and be like, oh. That shit's mad funny. Yeah, clean thumb, please. So listen, Don, I want to do this I'm going to bring up the Multiverse Saga, right?
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about the projects in order, and we'll give everyone a moment or two of our time to explain. We'll go over quickly because we've talked about it, a lot of it in generalizations. So we're going to just hone in on the topic. And I'll throw the movies out. I don't know what you're doing on your end, but I got the movies lined up right here, and the TV shows as well. And we'll see what each one was about and how it was a disclosure topic, and we'll move on to the next one.
Sounds good.
You ready?
Yeah.
WandaVision. So from the Rapture event, it moves into the first project of the multiverse, and that is WandaVision. WandaVision is about the Scarlet Witch creating and altering reality in a small town that makes the town believe they are on different TV shows because that's all she had from her childhood. So she influenced the entire town to act and believe like they were on different shows throughout the years, like throughout the decade. So each decade was like a new show. Another popular famous one from I Love Lucy all the way through to like Cheers and stuff like that. Okay. Wanda was married to the AI as well, the artificial intelligence character, who was brought into play once they built a body for it and created Ultron using the Mind Stone. Did you watch WandaVision? I didn't like WandaVision too much, but it implements magic at the highest levels.
I watched it, but it didn't really sink in on that one.
Right. She was just using reality warping powers, and that's how she did that. So they were saying she's just so out of control that she's warping literally an entire town of people. So the ability to tap into magic and influence others that are less than or unprepared for, don't have to be less than, you could just be unprepared for the attack. Psychic attacks, which can take you over and change your reality and warp what you're seeing. So you're being introduced into new things in your reality, things that were there the whole time, but was folklore and everything from your basic book reading witches and sorcery, and this extended way out into Agatha all along and the Multiverse of Madness as well, where she's literally reading from the books, creating the dark magic so she can do the things she's trying to do and accomplish. So that's your first touch into that, the dark edge of what witches can do. Right? So the second show was Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So Falcon and the Winter Soldier puts the guy that was the Russian MKUltra victim back on track because he was in Wakanda, which was Africa, and he was going through certain rituals where they were trying to get him to take his mind back, and then he was to join his buddy, who was an army soldier who used technological wings to fly, so to speak. He has like a little wingsuit, and to join him, basically back into the mix into regular society after all this has happened to you and after all the things you've been through, and how you're supposed to now dig back into society. With all the many, they had very heavy racial overtones, and it really hits home because some of that stuff is true. Every truth is based on everything is based on a little bit of truth, right? So you can see how the black super soldier program ruined one guy, and how the Russian super soldier program ruined this guy, and how they're coping, and how the military guy who watched his friend die in the war, and then at this point in Marvel has gone through so many moments and now is in more of a leading role, but they don't know what to do because at this point Cap's not around, right? So it follows the soldier having to reinsert himself back into society, and how they're going to deal with that and how they healed the trauma. Pretty interesting.
That one was really relatable in the sense, like, that's basically what they expect us to do is like, oh, we're going to traumatize the shit out of you, but please act as though everything is normal. Like, this is the soft selling this stuff to society is like, it's okay, just go act normal. Look what happened to this guy, right? Like it really does.
Yeah, if he could do it, you can do it.
That narrative, yeah.
Right, but really you have to break the conditioning and you have to have friends. It's really about it's buddying up to help each other, because they make it uncool to get like help from another guy. Like a guy will never ask another guy for help, but if you watch a really good buddy movie, they literally come back to each other, and they're like, they need each other because of what they're trying to do. They need other people. They need friends. They need family. This is how it works. You have to overcome the great thing, and you can't do it alone. Sometimes you have to have somebody say, it's okay, I got your back.
Yeah.
Right. And then you overcome great odds. Right. Typical hero adventure story as well, by the way. So then it follows that up with Loki, the first season. So, Don, did you watch Loki?
I have not.
Okay. So Loki basically is showing you that the multiverse exists, and that there's a technological device that is keeping the timeline secure, and that there are a group of people that are outside of time, the Time Bureau. We talked about that with them in Deadpool, that are watching and making sure and pruning timelines that begin to come off the tree of life outside of the technological loom they put there, and they make sure they collapse that reality immediately. So we find out that is so it doesn't create more Kangs from the multiverse. So a Kang won, this character, a war in the multiverse based on all versions of himself, and each one being worse than the next. So he created a device that locks all reality timelines into one and prunes off anything that branches. So they're forcing that to work. That's the basic premise for Loki, and it's the god of lies becoming the god of stories. It's his adventure from being a pain in the ass, basically, as Guardian, who is to us an archetype, and then became real. He showed up and fought Captain America in front of everyone, and then brought an alien invasion to Earth, right? Come back and make amends by trying to hold the tree of life together, because they try to keep the loom in check, and he starts returning. I'm getting 1 and 2. It's one big story, a little combined, but he starts looping himself to learn how to be better, learn the importance of this, learn how to particle physics, learn how to, everything. He just keeps going back. So then he eventually reaches his future again, where he has to save the day, and he takes the seat because the loom's destroyed, and he's holding together the story, right? And so he basically becomes the Yggdrasil. All right, so watch that. Yeah, it's pretty good. You watch 1 and 2 back to back, and you'll be like, oh, this is pretty cool, man. It was definitely not what I wanted out of Marvel, but I'm watching it from a different perspective. Like I'm watching it as a fan, like, yay. But when it doesn't hit those notes, I'm just watching it going, oh, I'm still a fan. This isn't my favorite guy, but I know they're telling me something by putting this specific character in my face. It's like the bad guy becoming the good guy story, right? Overcoming great odds, the typical archetypal story of the hero's journey, but with the villain. Right? Redemption is never that far out of reach from anyone. You can make the choice to do the right thing and then start your story anew right here, right now. You don't have to wait till Monday. You can start right now. And that's the story. That's the story kind of flying around there. All right. Then the long-awaited Black Widow movie that didn't do very well. However, real deep on the Black Widow here, Don. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Red Room, the Russian version of creating assassins by fracturing and traumatizing young girls, collecting them in containers and stealing women. That was how the beginning of the movie is. It was the women and children in containers. And then the ones that survive become the assassins. So they go through vigorous training, John Wick style, and all kinds of crazy stuff. However, they go through all the traumatics plus the technology, but from the Russian end, MKUltra style.
Which, doing my show, I have had my super soldier memories aren't like that. They are a program that I have loaned my consciousness to do exactly what we were talking about at the beginning of the show: kick reptilian ass and rip them into tiny little shreds. That happens in about 200 years. We've talked about it ad nauseum. But what you're talking about, I've also had discussions with people that there is a very similar program in this reality run by facets of a shadow government that does exactly that and steals fractals of people's consciousness. And that's the general secret space program that you hear about more than the super soldier programs.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, I have legitimately talked to people who remember high-ranking political officials doing terrible things and being made to do all of the training that you're talking about, fighting animals, each other, things that aren't even from this reality. And they speak of it, and because of my own experience, I have to, in some aspects, accept that they have had this experience or they're completely full of shit. But the large majority of them, when they speak of these things, speak with such emotion that either they believe it sincerely or it is a literal facet of their consciousness in a different reality.
Right. Some are fractured, some are tapping in, some are doing it this way or that way. It's always, and then what MKUltra does, bro, is they put out people that aren't part of it, like doing the super soldier stuff, but they tell them they are. So they'll like lie about it, but they fracture that person so that person doesn't even know, right, that they're a plant in the scenario, right? They're convinced they are part of it. There's so many directions. It's all exists, so it could all happen, and it isn't off the playing field for somebody to take advantage of any scenario and do anything, or have anything, or be anyone.
Yeah.
Right? If they can do it, they're gonna try, and if it hasn't been done, they're gonna try to do it. Like, that's just how it works.
Yeah.
So yeah, Black Widow wasn't the greatest movie. However, it was about fracturing and taking women and getting them to assassinate people in the coldest way, and then just turning them back to normal people. Once again, just mix into the real life. Like, how the hell are you supposed to do that? Right? Then, okay, so the next movie in the multiverse was Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Right? So this one's this is a pretty simple one. It brings in the Eastern cultures and the Chinese dragons, right? It's like, oh, that exists. It's like, oh yes, this exists. The different fighting styles and how they were developed, what creatures do what, and who's a guardian to what creatures, right? Because creature that was locked away in that was just like the creature we're discussing earlier with the AI system here. The villain of the movie was using the 10 rings, and the 10 rings was corrupting the user because he was mad that his wife was dead. So the creature that was trapped in this other dimension that could be accessed through this mountain cave front that has been closed and sealed with a spell was contacting the guy that had the rings, pretending to be the wife. So he would come and get her. So it's a guy that's corrupted to save the wife and the soul of this, being played on by a monster that's actually been trapped in the mountain and needs him to escape. So it's like, I need you to give in to the dark side for you to allow me to exist here in this realm. So it's covering possession, fantasy, different creatures from different realms. There's literally, God, I can't remember the name of the realm in the movie. So they have to travel through this field a certain way or be eaten by like the forest. When you come out of the forest on the other side, it's literally another dimension. It's like a pocket dimension, and you access that, and there's people living there with guardians that are guarding this specific thing, the monster that's in that area. So it's letting you know that portals exist, like trips through the forest where you find things and you're suddenly transported, and you're like, you don't understand how you got there, right? Some kind of journey through time and existence where dragons exist, the never-ending story style story, when now you're interacting with these beings and you're finding out that they're not just archetypes or ethereal things, they're physical here, right? And they can't bring them over here because they'll eat everyone, and they'll do this and they'll do that, but over there they like live in harmony with everyone, right? They're all there to do a job and have that existence of protecting the realms from that thing. So they're allowed to exist there and be like the overseers of the area. Very interesting stuff. Where have we heard this before? I literally went to the eclipse in South Carolina a few years back, and the entire area around the Heart Lakes, it turns out, was so I was under ayahuasca multiple times while I was there, and I noticed that the people that lived in the area were the caretakers to the hole to inner earth that you access through Heart Lake, but it was also a portal. It's like moving water portal, right? And I'm like, wow, look at that. But the reptilians and the mer characters, I guess, they were working as the physical humans that lived around the lake. So when you're like, wow, the people around here are really weird to me, it's because they don't want you there, because they're guarding the lake from you. Literally, when you're like me, what the fuck do I go? Well, because you're here drinking ayahuasca. You think nobody knows you're doing that, but they all know. Not the physical neighbor, but they don't want you there. They don't want the Airbnbers there. They know you're up to no good and you're fucking partying and you're getting laid and you're smoking your pot. And you're, right? So they're like, we don't want that up on the fucking lake. We're like good people here or whatever. And you're like, well, what do you do? So I'm a lawyer. It's like, oh, okay. I see how this works. You guys are all rich dudes guarding the area. If I test you, you're going to test positive for reptilian DNA. Probably some of you are reptilians in the human suits, right? The mer characters are in the lakes. They didn't want us there. We went and said hello to them, and they were like, leave. I was like, what do you mean leave? Well, you just tell my wife to get lost? Like, they're like, you're contracted to be here till Monday. However, that bubble grows smaller every day until the 10 a.m. time you're supposed to exit. At that point, you're fair game. You better be gone by then. We were like, what the fuck? I was drinking ayahuasca and they were just jumping out of the water, walking up. I waved. I go, there's somebody. I was there with like a whole bunch of people. So I'm like shamaning everyone and they're seeing this and they're like, what the fuck? So I was telling the two guys, I thought we'd like buddy up. We'd all hang out. Kind of, we're under ayahuasca and we're like walking around. And I'm like, you guys, you hear that? So we're on the deck looking out. And I could swear somebody's looking at me, not from the lake, from the tree that's like 50 feet away, right behind the tree. Someone's staring at us. So I was casting a shadow with them the way the light was coming from behind us. So when I went like this, my shadow was huge on the tree. And I went, and then someone walked out from behind the tree and went, and then ran and jumped right into the water. And it just went bloop. But it was like a man-sized guy.
Holy fuck.
And we were like, what the fuck? Did you see that? They were like, we're not going out there. Leave us alone. The guy got mad that we took him there. One of the brothers was like, why would you take me here? And they're real. I'm like, well, I keep telling you guys, everything's real. It doesn't mean I've witnessed everything. It just means that it's the only thing that's kept me sane is to be like, of course you exist. Or of course you're there too. Or of course, you know. Because if I don't, I'll be like, what the fuck is happening? So I'm Source. So I got to look at it like Source would never put me. Like I'm there to witness it as well. Right. We're totally getting off topic here. But so the guardians of the areas, I don't, because I could talk about me. It's just like being one of the fucking characters because these archetypes are literally there for you.
Yeah.
To help you guide you through the experiences, right? Like Dr. Doom, his whole presence is his real thing is that his mother sold her soul to protect him when he was a child and said that he would become a great sorcerer. So he's second in line to Sorcerer Supreme, to Doctor Strange, right? So she dies and gets taken to hell by Mephisto. So he's allowed 1 day a year to go to hell and try to get his mother's soul back, to win it back from Mephisto. And the only way to do that is to trick the devil at his own game. And he fucking beats him and gets the mother's soul. I was like, that's a pretty big deal, right? And then how do you do that within you? You go into the deepest, darkest part and you get your soul back from the deepest, darkest thing, because that you can't give your soul to anyone. It belongs to you. So if you say, "Oh, I'm giving it to you," you're going actually voluntarily, technically. So if you find yourself in a hellscape, you voluntarily put yourself there. Some say it was written in that if you did the X, Y, and Z, you're going to go over here, like a choose your own adventure, right? But at any point when it's over, you choose that it's over and it ends. So it's infinite and eternal until you're like, nah, I'm done.
I'm done.
Right? That's pretty powerful, dude. Pretty fucking powerful right there to even talk about stuff like that. Okay, let's continue. Oh, all right. So the next movie in the line would be Eternals. So, Don, did you see the Eternals?
No, you've seen way more Marvel. I saw the mainstream stuff. You have seen it all, my friend.
I had to because I read all this stuff as a kid. Dude, the Eternals suck. I'm going to be honest, but the Eternals is a is the Anunnakis that are still here watching, that are walking among us, right? That allow everything from the plow to the steam engine and influence that to take effect. In other words, showing you how to use the plow in some cases, and in further down the line cases, the steam engine becomes a thought that is relayed back where you think, I'm getting it from a supreme intelligence, God or whatever. You're getting it from them, and they're looking out for you, making sure that the other gene in you doesn't take effect. So there's deviant genes. So there's basically human genetics, and then they were manipulated, and you get the deviant. So the deviant is the darker aspect activated, where you don't know it's deviant. It could go left, it could go right, it could have any ability, anything could happen. It's a deviation from the norm, which is what they're trying to keep the norm in check. Right. So that movie goes awire when one of the deviants is able to, its ability is to kill any character and then absorb that character's abilities into itself, and it gets bigger and stronger. So it starts to be able to kill them and take them out one at a time. So the deviation is just getting so powerful. So the gods, the celestial gods, lowercase g's, but from outside the multiverse looking in, that actually created the whole thing, has a deal with them, the Eternals, to watch over and destroy deviation. So as the story takes place and goes, they overmeddle in the affairs of humans. They wind up with families, just like the story of the fallen angels. But what really takes place is you find out that they're on a higher level, like super androids that can be resurrected up inside their ship. And that's the true story behind it. And they're trying to stop the deviation from just killing everyone so that nobody could reincarnate. So it's one of these weirdo Anunnaki stories where they get involved with humans and keep the experiment in check, to where at the end of the movie, spoiler, the Celestials show up and they send out the message. So people learn on that day that Celestials are real. The Celestial that tries to come up out of Earth and be birthed through a seed, like a plant planted deep into the heart and bowels of the planet, cracks open, and a Celestial is being born inside the planet to come out and judge you. So the gods were about to judge everyone as this character was being born, and the Eternals turn and they take humanity, and they're like, we're not going to allow this to happen. And they turn what we thought was stone, turn the Titan Celestial into what looked like stone, but it was actually adamantium it was changed into, which we'll get to a little bit later down the line. Adamantium being the strongest metal in existence, but it's really so. This will get to Wolverine and Deadpool. the claws of Wolverine are made of adamantium, which is what allowed the ending of that movie to take place. Whereas the swords Deadpool was using and had on his back were adamantium as well, allowing him to take the charge at the end of the movie. And one was running through their body, and the other guy can heal so fast, but has in his possession the swords, so he can hold the charge as it jumps through his body instead of disintegrating him. They make a connection to save the day, but we're not there yet. Okay, Don, we're gonna skip Hawkeye because Hawkeye is the regular man at peak perfection that uses a bow and arrow for the basic instincts that man would have from the first weapons, and he's a master of those in today's society. Yeah. Right. And then it doesn't really placate to anything but hero versus villain, which is your basic street level good versus bad, and overcoming great evil, specifically with the hidden hand of like the higher societies in the elites in the background running reality itself. They're really in charge back here at these parties that you're in. They have the weapons and they have the things that they do that you can never have because you're not one of them. So Hawkeye focuses on that stuff.
Yeah.
Did you watch that? It was actually pretty good.
I don't think I saw that one.
All right. Now we have Spider-Man No Way Home. Right?
Oh, that I've yes.
Okay, so No Way Home is where the multiverse. Okay, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, goes to Doctor Strange and has him use a spell to make everyone forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And Peter messes up the experience, and it's the spell, something happens to it, and it messes up really bad, and it starts pulling people that know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man into the main reality from the multiverse. So you get introduced to high magic, the multiverse, what's happening on the different timelines, different versions of the current you happening over there where the story is just slightly different and different versions of you are playing out the different timelines. All right.
Yeah.
Because Loki broke the loom, the different timelines start existing and get pulled together into the proper positions. Okay. So you get to meet the Lizard is back, the elemental guy that runs electricity. You get the death of Aunt May, and the great power comes great responsibility. Right? You lose your innocence. That's a big one. Innocence lost in that movie. Loss of control, and how if you don't use your power appropriately, how things can collapse around you real quick. Right? How all this stuff is real and it even exists. You think you're spectacular, but holy shit, this is real. Right? And then he has to send the people back to their times healed, where they would normally be in their death moment, and they got pulled from their reality at the moment of their death into Spider-Man's reality. But they were fighting the other Spider-Men in the other realities and were about to die during that experience, all from different points in time. And they got pulled in all at once. And you're like, bro, that's crazy. It's like portals exist, timelines exist, these different characters exist, chimeras exist, intelligent lizards exist. And basically all they want to do is take control, right? Technology that can overtake your mind and make you do what it wants, not what you want, right? That would be Dr. Octopus, Dr. Octavius, right? Using the tentacles. That's really just a thing, man over machine and machine over man. And how to use the technology properly. The Sandman, right? So these are all elemental characters, right? Yeah. He's of the earth, of the land, he's made of sand. He's made of that stuff. Right. And he could influence it and add it to himself from the surroundings to get bigger or smaller, or just change into different things, to become more powerful, to look like something, like just all of these different amazing things. Okay. And then a story of friendship and how normal people would react to this. So much crazy so that they create a spell, a deep spell that makes you forget it exists. Right? Where you just blink. Oh, that's not there. That guy's not him. That's not real. Right? So sleep spells and conjuring, all of it being real. Okay, it's always going to be fantastic, Don, on any level and on every level, because it's a comic book. It's supposed to, in fantasy, it's supposed to be big. But the basic story structure and line always leads back to exactly what's happening around us at that time, which brings me to my least favorite of anything ever, Moon Knight. Okay. Don, did you watch Moon Knight?
No, fortunately, I missed it because I heard it was absolute trash.
It fucking sucked. But let me tell you, it introduces the Egyptian pantheon as being real, and how they, different deities, lowercase g's, would use a fractured human to do their bidding for their judgments. Gonna keep it plain and simple with that guy, because I like Moon Knight in the comics. He's dope.
Yeah.
That show sucked. I was like, what? I think Moon Knight was actually in, I think it was like 14 minutes of, like, I don't know how many episodes it was, like 10 episodes. And I was like, I can't watch this. This is terrible. I'd rather watch, bro. I used to watch Arrow all the time and Flash, because it was so much better than anything. And it referred back to the comics very well. They did it differently, but still referred back to it, so people were watching would get a blast of what's awesome. And then they would do this like crossover at the end, where it was like all the different shows: Flash, Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, Superman, and they would all cross over and have to like do Infinite Crisis on Infinite Earth. They would fight like the bad evil Superman with the black Russian suit on. Dude, they fought super Nazis where the Nazis won and all the heroes were Nazis, and then they were fighting back. I was like, yo, this is the best shit ever. The movies don't, and these shows sometimes don't really go there, even though those other shows are cheesier. It's giving you exactly what you want. Just it's going to not be as great as Zack Snyder doing it or something, but it's better, because when you tell a shit story, it sticks forever. And by the way, everything Oscar Isaac is in sucks. And I'm not saying he's a bad actor, but Star Wars sucked. He was Apocalypse. That guy, the purple fucking Power Ranger guy, sucked. He was Moon Knight. Now, he's not bad. It's just everything else sucks. So I'm not calling out the actor like that. I'm just saying it might be you, but you're not a bad actor. I like watching you. But I hated Moon Knight. Okay, so we're going to get away from that. That's the Egyptian pantheon. And it also shows other pantheons exist, other characters, demonics, those who would rule the night, and those who might rule the day as well. Okay, then we roll into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Not much of a multiverse of madness, although they pass through a bunch of multiverses. Yeah. However, the alternate versions of you, and then the dream walking stuff, Don, we do the dream walking all the time.
Well, and that's where I will jump in, and because those listening that have heard Frank and I talk before, Frank and I know each other on at least 3 different realities. We've been here. We do this. We have missing time together. No pun, Jason. But we have missing time where he went for a nap and I blacked out while driving for like 20 minutes, which is awesome because I drive a big fucking shit truck. Anyway. And Frank was also a teacher of mine in a 5-year experience in a school that doesn't exist in this reality that I had in a single night. So he and I know each other in 3 different realities.
My favorite is that when I woke up on the ship and I was like I was walking down a hallway on the ship and I like bopped into that version of myself. And I was looking at my hands and I'm like, what's happening to me? Where am I? And I was looking around. And then I knew that I had to keep going and I had to open, like, put the keypad in the code for the door. So I didn't know how I knew that, but I knew it. And people were looking at me, but they weren't really paying attention. And I had this stupid look on my face, like, what in the world is going on? And I buzz open the door and Don's teaching a classroom. And I walk in and I'm like, oh, I don't mean to interrupt. And I see Don and he's like, hey, what's up, man? It's Frank. And everyone's like, hey, what's up, man? So I go, okay. Like, what the fuck is going on? And then Don goes, oh, it's the other Frank. All right. Yeah, you're all right. And you walk me out to the hallway. And then I went, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Oh, wait a second. Hi, Don. What's going on? Oh man, that was a weird one, huh? And you just laughed in my face. You were like, ha ha. I'm like, did I interrupt? And you were like, no, we were waiting for you.
So Frank went and had a nap. Frank went and had a nap in this reality. I had missing time at work.
It was so fucking real, Don.
I saw over the city of Calgary that day about 15 to 20 saucer-shaped clouds and experienced missing time. And then I told Frank, I was like, wow, I had this really fucked up dream. And there's 2 hours difference between Frank and I. And I was like, I had this really fucked up experience. Like, I saw these cloud ships and then, like, I can't remember anything for like 20 minutes. And he's like, what time was this? And I'm like, blah, blah. And he's like, I like had to have a nap at this time. And I saw you. I'm like, oh. So basically, Don here was still on autopilot, and my consciousness was up on the ship talking to Frank while teaching a class. And yeah, so you can actually shift your realities. You could as Frank says, everything is possible if you can think of it, because it's fucking happened.
Dude, I'm like, how am I even up here? They're like, all right, man, we're gonna freak you out for a second. I'm like, what is it? They're like, you're projecting in from there to here and then back and forth. I'm like, how? And they're like, because in a higher level, you're in a tank projecting in to here to go into there. You've been in the tank before, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, I've gotten up out of the tank. And I looked at this kid was sitting there and he was like a skinny version of me with hair, right? And then I was just looking at him. He's a young guy. And I go, are you God? And he goes, no, Dad. And I go, wait, what? And I snapped right out of it. And I was like, I don't have kids. And he goes, not there, you don't. And I go, are you fucking kidding me? And then I got up out of the tank and I met my son that was on the ship. And I went, oh, well, you know, Paula, your mother. And he goes, Paula is not my mother. I was like, holy shit, this is fucking crazy, bro. He goes, you're going to lay down and you're going to project back in. He goes, I was supposed to meet you and be born in, but you don't want to have fucking kids. He goes, so I'm not, he goes, I would never have the opportunity to meet you on the planet for it to properly cross over. So you're going to be here before I could do that there. And I said, so you're telling me that I'm going to be here where we are now with my other body, and then I'll meet you here while I'm still in there? And he's like, yes. I'm like, that's crazy, right? And he goes, yeah, for you. I was like, wow, that's fucking nuts. So we're just projecting in from all these different places? And he's like, yep. He's like, you have a physical body up here. You're already this guy. And then you project in, and then you've been living as what's going on Earth from the beginning. Like, this isn't like one lifetime. This is like the whole shebang, bro. But I'm always in the higher realms looking down, watching how the projection from up there works. So it's weird being in the lower levels, projecting in like to different spots. and there's like a main ship that we're on, Don. And I'm like, this is fucking wild. And you were the next, like I'm supposed to greet and work with someone as a contact that's already been doing it. So then Don just gets on board, starts doing this. He's already trained. It's not like Frank has to do anything. I just have to meet him. And then they show us we're on the ship together. All of a sudden, we're fucking buddies. Like you had your video where you had the QHT session, right?
Yeah.
Right. That yeah, of course. And what did you say? Yeah. Who's Frank's here with me? And they were like, who the fuck is Frank? He's Frank Castle, bro.
Yeah. And at that point, I think we had spoken like once. Mm-hmm. If we'd even yeah, I think we spoke like once.
We were on Chris's show or something.
Yeah. And it was just fucking surreal because what happened in that QHHT session is the practitioner got me to recall as much as I could of the 5 years that happened in one night as I could. And that was, you were a teacher for 5 years at the private school I went to that's not in this reality.
I was in, when I saw you on the ship, I was from the class, like if like, let's say it was 10th grade, you were in 9th grade coming into 10th, and I was going 10th into 11th. So I was to bring you in and just like kind of be like, yeah, it's all good, bro. But to convince, like, not everybody's doing ayahuasca and mushrooms, so it takes different things for different people. So Don and I agreed up there. And then the wild connection is your wife was, I met her when I was on tour at the only diner in the area when I was in the only radio show at the area. And we both remembered. And that's where you live, like over in that area. So I like dropped a pin there. Your wife was there. You're there. Then we connect here. You see how it just keeps building?
Yep.
Okay. See, and then you're like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. It's like, well, it's been happening the entire time. Guys just weren't aware of it.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's very synchronistic. Like, it's insane, like the places that we've been and the connections that we have. Like,
yeah, dude, we talk to ETs together, like people that are like in outfits that are like, that look like Starfleet, and we're just like, hey, what up, guy?
Yeah.
Right. And they're like, hey, and we're like, oh, okay, we'll add that to the resume, you know. Just weird fucking shit, man. All right, so Multiverse of Madness. This is exactly what, so Don and I just discussed premise and disclosure. Things are going on in other areas that are linear to your own. Some go left, some go right, some go up, some go down. Evil versions of you, good versions of you. Sorcery, sorcerers, books of magic, spells, golems, recreation of timelines, stealing the ability to travel from this universe to the next and possess the body of the person in that area. The you there, possess them and then make them do your bidding or whatever. So I do that all the time. I jump into versions of myself that are like musicians or singers, or, you know, the guy that made it already, or the future version of myself. And I just jump into them and try to understand how we got from A to B. Right. So in the Matrix, you plug in and you put something in the back of your head, you kind of download it. Poop. Oh, okay, good. I find that in this reality, I'm sure you could do it that way too, just like in the Matrix. But here I tend to jump into the version of myself that's already doing that. And then I'm just like, what am I doing wrong? And they just show me. I don't try to take their body over. I just go with the flow and ask the question, and the thought and the patterns are there. So it's like I copy them and bring them back with me. And then it's up to me to remember all this stuff. But as I unlock, I have more memory space, so I could remember how to do things. You know, I was looking at my cousin the other day. We went out for my birthday. I know my cousin since we're little tiny kids. He's my older cousin, right? He looked over at me. He was speaking fluent Spanish to this lady. And I just staring at him. And then he's like, what? And then he responded with a Spanish accent. He's Italian. And then I'm like, you speak Spanish? And he's like, oh, yeah, I taught myself. It took like 3 months. I go to talk like that in Spanish. He goes, yeah, and I'm getting really good at it. And while I was watching him do that, I was like, 3 months. Well, he's insane. So he has like insane focus and he's like really weird. So he's able to like really bring it out when he focuses in on something. He also does acting. So he like can focus in on a character or an aspect and just become it or learn it. And I'm like, well, I'm kind of doing the same thing that he's doing. I was reading him while he was saying it. And I'm like, this motherfucker just went to Spanish Joseph and downloaded the proper fucking file that he needed. And he just came back like, and he was spitting it like he was on Orchard Beach over here. And I'm like, dude, that was really impressive. But I'm doing that with piano, with a keyboard. I learned how to do keyboard, how to play keyboard in chords on my own. Like I went to the version of myself that was playing it. And then he said, you're holding your hands wrong and you're shaking for some reason. He's like, you got to just kind of, and then he showed me and then he explained what they were to me and why it works every single time. Cause I'm in hip hop. I don't need to how to play piano. I need to play chords so I can bump, right? Like I need that kind of shit. So he just showed me. You hold your hands like this. This is what you do. This is what you get when you do this. He goes, mark your keyboard. I took a pen out and I marked my keyboard right there. I just wrote right on it, A, B, C, D, E, like just where everything went. And then it took like 3 or 4 days of trying. And then it just snapped into place. I put on some YouTube stuff that shows you the song and how to play. And I put it on and I watch and I say, let's see if I picked up on any of this stuff. And sure as shit, every chord I picked up on. I couldn't play piano like, but I could play all the chords. Dunk, 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 dunk. That's how that goes. Dunk, dunk. Okay, that's an A, B, dunk, dunk. Everything's labeled. And I'm like, oh, that's how you do this. Right? So who does that in Marvel? The Taskmaster. He sees somebody do something and now he can do it. Yeah. Or it's a she in the movies. Right. So she can see, and they always use it for action and fighting. So that she could watch you do anything. But in the comic book, the Taskmaster would watch like Bruce Lee do the death punch. Right. And then now he knows how to death punch somebody. That's it. Yeah. No training necessary. That's the ability. It's like a photographic mind with a photographic muscle memory of watching the guy do it. And now you could just do it. Pretty intense stuff, man. Okay. I know we've been at this for a minute. There's not too many long. I'm going to just zip through them. And then if you want to say something about them, because some of them are pretty simple. Okay. So the next one's Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel's the first, mutant announced in, Marvel. It's the young lady. And she has the ability to manifest and work with light-based abilities through the bracelet that she has on. That has been a family heirloom that came from India and that side of things, like Bangladesh and stuff like that. And the ancient artifact channels through her because of her abilities, and she's able to create light constructs and go on cool little adventures. Cool little show. It was actually one of the better ones. Okay, Thor: Love and Thunder. So I'm going to just say this about that shithole of a movie, that it's literal love and family. So it's literally like Fast and Furious. You win because family. You win because love. You win because you care enough to have the talk, to be around, to take the mission, to do the right thing over the wrong thing, making the villain see that you too at the last moment can choose life over death. I'll leave that at that. Okay. She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. Once again, stupid ass show. However, living with the Chimera, a giant green woman, literally that's stronger than you. There's something that men go through when they see giant, powerful women, right? Anunnaki style woman from, just because in the show, it's the green, like she got bled on by Bruce Banner, who's the Hulk. So that and they're cousins. So the blood affected her and it turned her into a Hulk, but she's beautiful and she's very promiscuous. So it's just activation of all those different things inside of you. And now how does society, because she's a lawyer, now deal with you? And how do you deal with them?
Yeah.
Crazy. Right? Okay, next one. Werewolf by Night. 100% all supernatural all the time. It's always been there. Everything from crystals and having the crystals and the magic and the transformations and the actual beings that were born that way or that transformed into the things that roam the night, and how they're misunderstood and not all of them are evil, and how there's people out there that hunt that down, and sometimes they kill the wrong ones, right? But it doesn't matter because there's monster hunters and there's monsters that exist and they harm people. So these guys are out there making sure they're not doing anything stupid, right? It goes back to all the things like vampires and werewolves and like swamp monsters and different creatures that just roam, and the characters that are out there that pick up that fight because no one else will. Okay, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Don, did you see Wakanda Forever?
Yep.
So Black Panther literally eats a root, drinks it like it's ayahuasca, and then gets super cat powers, right? Panther powers from the Panther goddess Bast. So it brings in all aspects of that. But in this specific movie, it brings in the water beings, right? And how the technologically advanced African Wakandan beings now have to deal with right offshore beings that have been living there in the ocean the whole time, which are more of the original mutants. They breathe underwater, but the one that leads them, he can fly, he could breathe in the land, in the water, super strong. And he uses the vibranium metals to as focus of his abilities as well. So magic abilities through staves and different weapons and technologies from the area that they exist with. So you have Atlanteans and underwater beings and complete civilizations that have been there longer than we've even been on the planet. All right, Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. I'm going to say this. If you've not watched that, it is fun as fuck. They kidnap Kevin Bacon and bring him to the Guardians of the Galaxy shit, and they make him perform a song for Christmas as a Christmas present because Peter Quill, Star-Lord, is depressed. It is the funniest thing ever, but really what it brings to, because Kevin Bacon's really like a focus at one point, and you're like, holy shit. He's like, you guys are real. Right. And they're like, yeah, and we love your music. And then there were space guys that had been watching Kevin Bacon because they heard about him earlier in the mall, and they were a jam band. So they jam with him, and it's like this whole holiday special, but it's from the human perspective, it's all real, it all exists, because the big party at the end, all the aliens are there and they're all singing and dancing. And I'm like, holy shit, this is. And it's not that long. It's like a half hour long. A lot of fun.
I'm going to have to check it out.
Kind of silly. But once again, it all exists. Kevin Bacon was around doing Kevin Bacon things. And then they abduct him. They run after him and chase him down the fucking street and bag him, put him in a Santa bag and take him back up on the ship. Dude, it is the craziest movie, right? But it's real. That's what Kevin Bacon was saying. I guess it's all here, right? And he sings the song, and it's awesome. And you're like, oh shit, we could all get along because we're all with our space brothers, the ones we didn't even know existed. So that was a little fun. Okay, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. So Quantumania, Don, did you see this?
Yes, I did.
What are your thoughts on this?
I thought it was slow at first, but I actually fucking dug it at the end because, like, this is a weird story, but when I was like 18 years old, I looked at somebody and knew nothing about quantum physics. It wasn't even a word at the time. And I was like, you know, with the right frequency, I could shrink you, I could turn you into nothing, I could blah 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 blah. And my friend is sitting there going, "What?" And I'm like,
Yes,
"Oh, really? If I could control," and I was 18 and I had no idea about any of this, but my friend was like, "Are you threatening to kill me?" I'm like, "No, I'm telling you, with the right frequency, I could make you small, I could make you nothing, I could make," and they're sitting there. So yeah, that one really resonated with me.
Yeah. Okay. So I resonated with that too. And also the fact that in the realm, so so size is perspective. We exist in a layer. What happens if you go to another layer inside of your layer? Because everything is layered. There's more life, up or down. It doesn't matter where you go. Existence is in all directions. Consciousness exists in all places. Time travel exists and it's real. So all of that came out of that movie. Not a big fan of the ending. They should have killed Ant-Man or trapped them in the quantum. Did something where they were just, you thought they were dead and maybe they come back in one of the other movies. But you get a lot out of it that way in terms of life exists not just in space but in inner space as well. Very magical. Very, very magical. Okay, so Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Did you see that?
Broke my heart.
Broke my heart. It's the hardest. So I love the Guardians. Guardians in the comics are terrible. They're great now, but they used to be like the worst. So he turned it into like really good. But the message behind this is the guy kept creating what he was trying to find as the ultimate mix of genetics. So he had a planet, it was called Counter Earth. And on Counter Earth, he had creatures, and then he'd let them live and grow. And they were all different chimeras. They were like kangaroo people and bat people, and just they were just people like us. There was cockroach people. There was just people, like all different things. And then he would kill them and start over.
Yeah,
kill them and start over. So he would just record the data and then destroy it and create it. Meanwhile, the golden people created the Adam Warlock, which was the heightened and the most powerful of all their genetics into one character, and they created the Adam, like Adam from Adam and Eve, like the perfect man that existed, that he has a golden tint. He looks gold, right? In the comics, he's like really the only guy that could wield the Infinity Gauntlet and return the Rapture back from what Thanos did. However, they use Hulk in the movie to do it, and Adam Warlock in the comic books. Even the Silver Surfer wouldn't do it. So it was too crazy. So also the talking characters, so the chimeras are all alive. You have the little raccoon guy, and he doesn't even know he goes, "What's a raboon?" He goes, "A raccoon. It's what you are." And then he sees his name is he picks Rocket, but he sees that it says raccoon on the thing. So he's like, "I'm gonna be a rocket." And he was talking to all the other animals. Some of them had technology implanted in them. Some of them had like missing parts, but with other shit melded in. Some would just talk and they were just normal, and they were caged animals on the ship. And he was creating them from scratch. He actually creates a Ninja Turtle in the movie in front of Rocket and then ages him to the end of his life from the beginning. So it starts as a turtle, and he's like floating in the tank, and then he's like in the cylinder of light, and then it changes into a Ninja Turtle, and it just didn't have the mask on its face, and he starts banging on the glass, and then he gets really old and decrepit, and they go, "Okay, that one's too aggressive. Do the next one." So they're just bringing things into life and killing them and destroying them like they would be doing on any of these ships with Anunnakis. This is like the story so from the perspective of the animals he's creating, this is the God from the Old Testament who will just get rid of you.
Yeah.
Right. So he had effect on the planet earlier on in its early stages. So thus having that effect on our planet as well. So that's where the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 kind of brings all of that to light. Crazy. Yeah, that one hits home. Paula won't watch that one. because it gets too out of control. There's something when you watch animals go through pain, it's different than watching, even if they're anthropomorphic, you don't want to see that.
Yeah.
And if you do, you usually label the psychopath anyway. Okay, moving along. Secret Invasion, easily the worst show ever created, literally on TV. However, Don, did you see it?
No, I never even heard of it.
Okay, good. Oh, that's a good thing. You're saving yourself. It's literally the reptilian shape-shifting invasion of planet Earth. They're shapeshifters. They're everywhere. You don't know who's who and who to trust, and they start taking people out and replacing them, just like they do here in real life. So there is your disclosure in that. Okay, Loki season 2 closes with the idea that Loki allows the multiverse to exist without pruning. He gets everyone on his side that's in that time bureau, and the time bureau starts working in favor of, not against, the creations that are going forth in the multiverse. The Marvels is the next. The 3 women that get together, each one has a different cosmic ability and is able to channel a different ability that is there to help stop the villain from. She wants to bring energy from sources like a sun from one planet back to her planet because her planet's lacking certain things. So she has one of these bracelets that can just steal the energy and kind of bring it back, but she's ripping holes in time space. And when she does that, basically they rip a hole and it goes to the X-Men's universe. So when these holes are torn into, when Doctor Strange dreamwalks, when certain things occur, it begins to pull. When Peter Parker fucked up the spell, it begins to pull those timelines towards you like the great attractor, just like we do. And see, with us, we become the singularity. You transmute the trauma from whatever that timeline is. You understand it. It goes into you, and then you keep the good things and you get rid of the bad. But in the movies, those guys come here, and now you have troubles, and then it's good versus evil in live time. So the Marvels kind of sets the precedent that you can split open and walk into the other reality. Because, spoiler alert, in the end, Captain Marvel, Spectre, the black lady, she winds up in the X-Men's mansion with her mother there, who's a different who's alive and who's playing a different character. She's from the other universe. So in the other universes, there's other versions of the people that died here and went to heaven and whatever. But in the other universe, they became a superhero, and just like you did. But over there, she's this character. So it's really interesting. It's a cool take on things. I don't know how much time we're rocking with here, Don. I know we're long over, but I can zip through these last few because some of them skip right over.
I'm going to split this in 2 for audio anyway, and YouTube can suck it. So,
okay, so we're going to just jump ahead a little bit to Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
Right? We did a whole show on this. Don maybe link the show. So Deadpool and Wolverine basically go on a little adventure through time, and Deadpool pulls a Wolverine that's alive from another timeline where everyone else died that Wolverine loved into his timeline to help him on a little adventure. So the multiverse is in full swing. It fully exists. You have MKUltra characters now working alongside of each other to save the day. And then in the end, it's what we spoke about before. The adamantium comes from the celestial being that was killed on its birth in Earth, right? And that was put on Wolverine and in Deadpool swords, and both of them can heal. Their actual ability is to heal. So when they had to, like, so-called cross the streams at the end of the movie with the energy to save the day from having the timeline that they're from decommissioned, so to speak, like we're just blown up and removed, they make this connection that stops the machine from doing it using the cosmic abilities of the metal they have on them or in them. So it's go ahead.
And she's not lying here. Kyla has shown up and announced that Deadpool and Wolverine is in fact my bedtime movie, and I'll probably watch it when we're done here.
Dude, that fight scene in the car is so dope.
I love the music selections. I know we talked about this, but it just it almost deactivates, because we as human beings have that sense, like when we take on the emotion of a movie, like I bawl like a bitch every time I watch Avatar and certain scenes in Armageddon, right? There's an emotional connection to shit. But what they did in Deadpool and Wolverine by syncing it up with like iconic campy music, it almost makes the violence humorous, and it completely, to me anyway, it like deactivates that sense of like, oh my god, this is real. Like it because our minds are programmed to think like, oh, this is happening. But the silliness of the music that accompanies the Deadpool fight scenes just completely neutralizes that for me. And I love that.
Yeah, for sure. That's crazy, right?
Yeah. Like they knew what they were doing.
Oh, for sure. Like I said, it's disclosure because of how wild the content is, but how the activation of those abilities is what creates those characters, right? They were activated to do that. So to watch that play out is funny to us, but it's really just a giant experiment, which is, we're not there, quite there yet. But Mr. Sinister and the X-Men has been pulling strings the whole time, making sure shit like this goes on. So it's a giant genetic experiment from a guy that's been around for 1,000 years. It's just crazy shit when it kicks back at itself. All right, so the next movie is a TV show. It's Agatha All Along. So that's the Witch's Road. That is the power of the witches, where they get their energy from, and the mystic powers and how they work. So it's the mystic arts. We all use them. Doctor Strange is there, and he's like the sorcerer, and then they are the witches. And Scarlet Witch is the master of it, because she's a mutant. She's born with the ability inbound within her, awakened at the whole time. Whereas these witches have to go and actually become witches and get their abilities through becoming a witch. So you go down that adventure. And in that, it's obviously art imitating life, life imitating art. Okay, jumping ahead, Captain America Brave New World. So the bringing the politics into it, and the fact that Captain America, doesn't take the super soldier serum, though he has the ability to have the opportunity to take it, doesn't, to overcome the great adversaries, using technology. So he's like the human soldier that opts to become, with no abilities. He's just doing the best he can with what he's got and what he can do, and goes out there, and you find out that there's inner circles and different gangs and groups all over the world that are infiltrating, and they're all fighting for that adamantium from the celestial that was frozen or killed by the Eternals, right? The same thing that gives the swords to Deadpool, same thing that Wolverine gets on his bones, comes from this creature, and they're fighting on it like it's up. They're fighting over it like it's for a landmass, so they can mine this stuff or figure out what the fuck is going on. And then you have the scientist in the movie who used the science on himself because he wanted to be like the Hulk, where it hit him in the mind. Instead of creating this creature, he now looks all distorted, but he can see probabilities. His mind works differently now due to the gamma effects. So the effects didn't do the same thing that it did to Hulk. It did something completely different. It made him super fucking smart because he could see the probability fields. So he's playing everyone against each other while changing the president into a shapeshifter who transforms into one of these Hulks. Right. Once again, so Red Hulk is the introduction to a Hulk that can do military objectives. That's what that Hulk winds up doing. So it's introducing you to the fact that the president and those characters have this creature that is active and running around now, that's going to protect and have the military behind it, right? They arrest him at the end of the movie, but his future intent is to help. So the big introduction, the transformation, you always freak out. I don't know what's happening here. And then, oh, okay, I'm here to help.
Yeah.
It's a wild adventure with that one.
And that also had the MKUltra with the phones flashing that I was talking about earlier. Like that.
Absolutely.
Well, and it thankfully I broke the one because it weirded me out. The last version of this phone that I had, it had on the startup a thing that would come up and literally say Think Shield on my Moto G and then flash just like that. Like it literally flashed just like you see it flash in the movie. I was like, oh, I don't like that. Like I used to start my phone upside down because I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're trying to do to my head.
Dude, that's subliminal messaging just done on a different level.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like hypnotizing or reading or observing or scanning or doing all of the above all at the same time in one shot through that modality.
Yeah.
Right. Fucking crazy, bro. We got to watch everything here. Everybody's out for the creator. So, all right, jumping in, we have Daredevil Born Again. So it's the man that taps into an ability over losing one ability, which is his eyesight, into tapping into his ability to have like really intense hearing, having like the radar sense that he gets from it, and how a human can peek out using one of his other abilities and become more than human through the focus of that and learn how to do just amazing things. It also introduces characters like Frank Castle, hey there, and the Punisher, and all these dudes that they're like humans dealing with this shit. The ultimate fight, good and evil. Daredevil is like the Catholic upbringing guy, but he's the devil of Hell's Kitchen. He doesn't want to kill, he wants to help, but the darkness and the evil is so bad that he feels that he's sent by God to help. Right? There's crazy moral compass here. It's you're versus the Kingpin, who is the ultimate form of like evil in society, who has control. You could never get to him. He's very hard to, stop with anything he decides to do. There's a lot of secrets. There's a lot of murder, death, kill. There's all the things that he's working on because he has so much money, time, effort, energy, and resources, versus the man who can't see but has enhanced hearing. Right? It's an intense take on the good versus evil, and how sometimes you have to go dark to beat the dark, but then to shine the light in the darkness to come back and reveal yourself to be the good guy. All right, cool. All right, so then we jump ahead. We get the Thunderbolts. So the Thunderbolts are the new Avengers. Deals with depression, deals with working your way out of the depression, and how you can use your abilities with others to work against losing yourself in the void, which is the villain of the movie. Right? We'll keep it short and sweet. Don, did you see Thunderbolts?
No.
Pretty good movie.
Gonna see. I will have to look for that on the site.
Yeah. Oh, that's on the site for sure. Definitely. Okay. Ironheart. Yeah. Definitely, dude. You're gonna love The Void. It's crazy. So Ironheart. Ironheart's like, just to show you the technological genius of the human that could overcome the differences and the racial inequalities and rise to become more than, and then be able to join in on the higher levels. Because like Vision said, soon as the abilities started activating, it showed signs that we were ready for a higher warfare, because those things that were in the darkness attacking or lurking nonstop is now visible to you, and you could now interact with it, and you can fight it, you can defeat it, you can lose to it. Like, so it's a higher form now. Like you just went into 4D chess. So Ironheart is It was pretty good. It wasn't that bad. Oh, it also had demonics and making deals with the devil. Mephisto was literally the villain in that with the hood. How the cursed object that gives you the ability will turn on you in the end if you don't live up to your contract with the devil. Okay. Fantastic Four, first steps. So this is where reality would be in the Tesla timeline. Okay. The four characters that are heroes in their realm, which is basically the Jetsons, cosmic radiation poured into their bodies and gave each one of them a skill and a superpower to stretch, to become invisible, turn into rock, and to turn into fire. So you have elementals. Oh, and the stretchy guy is like hyper smart. He's like the smartest man. So all of these things become hyper activated when you're bombarded with the solar energy that decides to send a concentrated scream and into a specific character, and then it will activate specifically those things with the cosmic energy and turn on an ability within you. So it usually is based on your personality, according to the Fantastic Four. Right? So if you have personality traits that are a certain way, that's like the kind of power that you show up with. Like the guy that's a hothead turns into the Human Torch. The guy that feels like he needs to be a tough guy, but he's really scared, has to be behind the rock so he's safe, turns into the Rock, right? And so on and so forth. The girl that believes she's never seen turns into the Invisible Woman.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. All right. Jumping ahead. Okay, some of this is whack. So, okay, like Wonder Man. Wonder Man has the ability, just like Captain Marvel does. He was bathed in energy. I think in the show, I don't know if they give 100% of how he got his ability. In the comic books, they were doing some genetic stuff, and the flash of light went off, and he absorbed it. And he becomes literally energy, but looks like a guy. It looks like the character, but he has the ability to just be energy and do anything with energy. So it kind of sounds like us.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Punisher, one last kill. So one last kill is basically the take on the PTSD soldier that comes home that nobody pays attention to, that decides to uptake a mission of his own in society to go after those that he goes to punish and pretty much maim and kill anyone that had involvement in his in the execution of his family. However, it drags out into other operations, other mafias, other people, and then when they get a beat on him, the take of the regular man having to overcome the streets, literal mafia style John Wick action. It's fucking awesome. If those of you who's not seen it, it's a perfect Punisher show. And I think it's only an hour long.
Nice.
All right. Spider-Man Brand New Day. We just saw this. It was fucking awesome. Get Don, kill it with this one. You got this.
No, I just have to share something because she's home and this was fucking crazy. When Jean Grey in that movie is projecting her consciousness and her sister is actually teaching her to project her consciousness. The last time Kylo was in Ontario, she actually had something like that. Now, I don't know if it was an entity or somebody fucking with people, but like it seemed as though every person she came in contact to just had this snap and would become instantly nasty with her. Like she had 3 different interactions with complete strangers, and it was like something was jumping from person to person to person. And that's where it reminded me of Jean Grey when she's going like through the park, like boop, 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 and she like skips through the people. It was almost like on the plane and in the airport, like something was coming at Kyla, and she's like in the chat going, the plane. Yeah, it was on the plane and in the fucking airport. Like something was around her coming at her. So like, I fucking think that kind of shit is real. I don't know if that was an entity or somebody projecting, but that was one of
Psychic
the
stalking, bro. It's a very real thing, right? Projections that follow you, and you're like, what is going on? And then it turns out that it's military based, and that there's someone in the chair and they're making them do it, right? They're holding the girl and they're making her use her power, and they have her trapped and they're forcing her to do it, and then they're taking scans of her head so they can create their own version of her, give that ability to anyone they want. They're trying to figure out how it works. So the whole time, it's these guys working in the background that are supposed to be good guys that are taking people with abilities, and then they're basically torturing them to give up their ability so they can map the ability, and then they add it, and they're going to create futuristically Weapon X and all these different characters. They're going to be involved with all that shit. And I almost think that the guy in the movie is Mr. Sinister. Right? Like that's my mind was like, that's Sinister. He loves to go after Jean Grey and Scott. And then if he's going to be the first character and he was going after Jean in this, either they're going to introduce to each other, or it's a clone of him, or he was acting like he was like Mr. Sinister. I kept going, there's something wrong with this guy. Right.
And I actually read the comics when it had Sinister in it. And what really, again, I'm going to cross worlds here with the amount of SSP interviews I've done. When they have her in that chair, I have no Montauk memory, but that is exactly what I have heard people in the secret space program describe as like the jump chair. And it's like, holy fuck, they're literally putting it in movies now. Like that is, I've had multiple guests on explain exactly that being done to them.
And people are watching that, and I know it's affecting them, which is why we're watching it. Like I was going, there's something about this movie. It's so adult. It's like got everything you want in it in a superhero movie, and how the characters would have to interact if it was real, no matter how silly it is that he has the mask on. He had the mask on almost the whole movie, right? And I was loving it and how he was interacting with people, but they were taking it serious, but they knew he was wearing a mask and made a joke of it, but it was funny, but not too funny. And then it was like, well, why are you doing this? And why are you doing that? And, how is this character's ability working? And what are they doing to the different people? And you find out that all these characters are living these traumatic, terrible scenarios, right?
Yeah.
And they're working their way back while the military is on them, Stranger Things style, just capturing them. They create the first device that could control and stop someone from using their abilities. Yeah, right. They activate Hulk and make him go nuts, but he's been a scientist now teaching people. He had his own class and everything, and he was back to being chill. And then boom, now he's back to wrecking things again. You just fractured his mind. He said, there's something wrong. You broke my head. I'm like, they're fracturing all these characters to make them turn into the other guy, and then they want to control that guy, that version of them. Like, no, we got him, right? And who gets taken over in the movie by the mind control? It literally works on everyone but Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man explains why it doesn't work on him. His power, his spider sense is almost a precog. So he's basically using low telekinesis. Like he's connected to the environment. Right. So he gets a jump on it. He doesn't know where it's coming from, what it's doing, but it's like a precog. Like, I know it's coming. We got 60 seconds to move. I don't know where it's coming from, but look out. And he gets out of the way. And so he's detecting that. So when she tries to jump him, his mind is pretty tight. And she's like, I'll take it eventually. And he's like, you can try. Right.
Go for
she had everyone else.
Yeah.
So how you could have a consciousness run another body too. That was another thing. She was controlling people, making them do her bidding. Yeah. And we've seen things in real life before where people say, I had no control. I was almost in the back seat watching me do this. Right. Once again, it goes to that hypnotized state where we can get you to do something you don't want to do.
Exactly, because at one point she has control of like a mile radius or something. Like it's insane. Like,
yeah, no, that shit was crazy. She just had a radius lockdown of the city, like a bubble that went out and froze everyone, and was just holding everyone in place. And she was able to just sit there and deal with that. Right. So once again, Don, if you have these great powers with no responsibility, you get mass casualty events. Right. You get people that don't trust you, that want to hunt you down and hurt you. You get other people that want to cut you open to see how it works. They want to figure it out by going through that with you, then getting rid of you, and then inputting that into a new character. Right? Because they can upload that digitally. They could say, oh, well, we cloned her or him, and then in that clone, we implemented and put in all the scans so it knows, even though it doesn't know, it'll know exactly what to do. We'll watch it light up again, and now we'll be like, okay, you got it? Okay, you work with us. Now go hunt them down so we can get more. That leads in the X-Men movies to the Sentinel program, which is how they kill everyone, and you get your AI robots, and it becomes the Terminator scenario.
Yeah.
Right? So it's crazy. So there's no more on the list just yet. More's coming, and it's heading to Doomsday. Doomsday, just to sum it up, is the culmination of the catastrophic Earths hitting each other from creating so when you go into another timeline, that timeline magnetically draws back to where you're from. So it pulls that Earth. So if I jump to Earth 2 starts to magnetically pull towards Earth 1, and then will enter the atmosphere and they will crash. Okay. So the events of these planetary these planets that show up in your reality to crash and burn your reality, like Nibiru, the story of like you'll see the second sun. You have to be worried if it gets too close, it'll suck things up. Like everybody has like a terror story of how this could go down or how it really works and whatever. But Dr. Doom steps in during this event, right? And he has the power of the world tree, amongst other things. He's like a great sorcerer, and he snaps his fingers and he pulls realities together that he can save as they are being destroyed. So he pulls like a section from here, a section from there, and a section from here, and he creates a battle world. Well, this is all just a representation of like the timeline split and the solar event, where all the higher beings that made it go over here, you were rescued because you were important, because of you do your thing. And it's always all the heroes and then all these other characters. And then once again, with great power comes great responsibility. Doom starts to lack the responsibility factor. And you watch the ego drift with great power unchecked. Holy shit. The ego that just drives it, right? And to the rise and to the fall. It's funny with Dr. Doom, the only reality that exists that succeeds is the one where he's in charge. That's one of his other big things. It literally succeeds perfectly. They have a perfect existence. And then at the end of that existence, at some point towards the end of his rule, something from space shows up and just takes him and bounces, and just he's gone. And they don't know what happens to him. So that's like one of the stories. They're like, oh yeah, at the end of everything that he creates, it is perfect. And then he gets taken. And then you don't see him again. So you don't know what happens after that. So, but according to the comics, the only society that works is a society ruled by Dr. Doom.
That's crazy. I'm stoked for that one.
Yeah. So listen, I guess we'll leave it at that. I mean, we covered every single thing. Vision Quest that comes out is just the return of the AI. It's been there the whole time. It's digitally within you and jumps from you to the next person, the next thing. and it's just been there and it's growing, and now you're going to have to deal with it. You're going to have to live with it. All kinds of artificial sentience, which none of it's artificial.
Yeah.
So come at it from that perspective and it'll help.
Before we take off, I do want to steal a quote because that's what Marvel quotes are for. And I want to say this: if you guys made it the almost 3.5 hours, I fucking love you guys for sticking out and geeking it with us because it's been fun as shit. But I'm going to steal one from the new movie, and it's from Aunt May. And I mean this to each and every one of you that can hear my voice, and I'm sure Frank is of the same mind. You know, this whole thing can get real scary. You know that. Things can change very quickly in ways that you can't even imagine right now. You're a very special person, and I hope that will bring you, that will always make you feel real about yourself. But I know sometimes you'll be really lonely. And sometimes because you're special, people can do dark, monstrous things to you. You're beautiful, and the people who love you, we love you not because you're special. We love you because you're you. I want you to remember that even when it feels like you're totally alone, that's your deepest responsibility. Never forget that. Know that no matter how powerful you become, we love you.
That's what's up. Always got to bring yourself back to baseline, bro. Especially when you have that kind of power.
Absolutely.
Never forget where you're from and that people care.
That's what we needed to tell everybody because we are all fucking superheroes.
Yeah, man, this is about all of us. Ain't nobody extra special or none of that shit. What seems extra special right now when you activate, you'll realize, oh, it's just a random. It's like when I'm ready to activate, I'll activate. And that's there for me to see, to know it's real so I can activate. All right. All of this stuff is there for us. They're telling you in everything. And now that you see it, so we did a general sweep of the whole thing. Look for it now in everything else because it's in everything else too. We just covered Marvel. DC covers it. Everything covers it. Literally everything. Harry Potter covers it. Dungeons and Dragons cover it. The Magic the Gathering covers it. 100%. Like it's always covered. Ninja Turtles, all the Thundercats, the cartoons, the movies, the radio shows, all of it. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, all of it.
Rick and Morty blows my mind every episode. Like, the truth in some of this stuff is just crazy.
Dude, the multiverse shit with that is the most insane thing ever.
It's and the most realistic.
Yeah, it's so crazy, but it's true. I'm like, man, they know. Some of these guys know what's going on. Oh, they make a joke out of it, but that's the way to do it.
Yeah, you were talking about it earlier about like Piano Frank. Like, I jumped into another version of me because every one of these conscious experiences, it all comes from the same consciousness, and you can access all of it. That's how you accessed Piano Frank, right? I went into the one night, and when I got there, when my consciousness left here and was there, when I woke up and was part of his reality, I was like standing there with a beer in my hand, and I could taste it. And I'm like, what the fuck? And like, he could hear me in his head, and he's like, what? I'm like, bro, we don't drink anymore. And then I showed him through my memory of this reality what life is like when you put that shit down. And this isn't an evils of alcohol thing for anybody. Enjoy yourself. I ain't here to tell you. It just doesn't work for me. And it doesn't work for me across all of the timelines, right? Because my life gets fundamentally better when alcohol is out of the picture. And he thanked me and he quit drinking that day because I had a conversation in his head. All of this shit is possible. We can tap into, it's just like selecting a channel. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but I'm sure it has something to do with sound. You can select where you go when you go to sleep. Those are your stages of consciousness. We're all able to do this. I'm not special. You can all do it.
He is right.
And that means
you can create your own place and go there, and then you can share that place with people, or you could go to someone else's, or you could be intercepted and brought to something else, somewhere else. right? Just because you get pulled, you're like, oh, what's this? Boom, done. Now
Shiny.
Yeah, more world. Oh.
Okay, so before we take off, you want to tell everybody where to find you, what's coming up, and what you're doing right now?
So right now I'm doing music. The Thumb Finger Fists are all done. They're being put up. I'm good till November 11th right now. And then at November 11th, it's like every 7 to 10 days I'll have a release. But right now it's every 4 days, I think. There's a new one. And then they'll just run into next year. So the project's almost complete and then ready to go. And I'm working on 6 tracks all at once, and they're all awesome. And I'm having a hard time focusing on which one I like the most. Just work on one, pick one and just do it, right? So I'm in that new stage now where I'm like, oh, I got all these cool songs. I could get back to work again. So I'm doing that. And I got some surprises up my sleeve. My show is going to come back in a volume 3. I promised that volume 3 would start when the ET interactions become heavy and the lifestyle changes. And so much is changing right now. So much. I can't really say more than that. And it's about to go in a big way. And from that place, all the new things, the fresh new things happen from that that higher elevation. So thank you so much for having me. The show will be back. Just go and check out the last few shows. We did More World. Check out anything I did with Don. We're going to just check out all Don shit, but we talk about everything here. And I appreciate you. You never do a 3-hour show, right?
No, I let her rip. I knew I was going to do this before I did this because I was like, you know what? This is not 90 minutes. I know this.
I'm sorry. We talked about so much. That's why.
Oh, dude. I would rather spend my Friday night talking to you than doing just about anything else because
I appreciate
people
you too,
that gets me. Right? Like, no, absolutely.
But I appreciate anyone that's stuck in for it. It's quite the hell of a ride. And Don and I, we just want to share that info with you, you know. Yeah, screw the limits. The information just needs to come out there. That's it. You take it with what, you know, what resonates with you and you run with it. But I know you're going to see it in everything. And remember, they always say the signs and the symbols, they've been around us the whole time. And they have. And now you're witnessing it with, this is just blatant at this point. So just enjoy it for what it is. See it everywhere. Point it out. Be aware. More will happen. You'll see more. And I love you. I love you, Don. I love your family. I love everybody in the chat that listens, even some of you dummies that don't listen. I love you too. And have a good time with it, right?
Yeah.
Be fearless, and remember, the universe rewards bravery.
All right, guys. And on that note, I'm going to say my little spiel at the end. I want to thank you guys for participating, everybody that showed up and everybody that's listening in the future. I appreciate you on the Forbidden Knowledge Network. And like I always say, if you can, please go outside because it's a lot better than sitting in front of this screen. And I love you too.